for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Palou wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning, everyone. You made it all the way to Monday, despite the fact that it's not warming up anytime soon. Hasn't warmed up over the weekend, but there was a lot to talk about. College basketball very busy over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, the Indiana Pacers get back on the right track. Got Caitlin Clark on NBC last night. Record-setting performance in golf. Alcaraz wins another major. NBA had Sunday night last night all to themselves. You got the Knicks and the Lakers. Did I miss anything so far? No, some great high school basketball over the weekend too, James. Welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be back. I can't say I watched everything over the weekend, but back to feeling like myself. So
well, it's good to have you here. Kevin Bowen, good morning. How you doing today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's balmy compared to what it was last Monday, right?
We've been in the 20s?
Yeah, which, I mean...
Giving weather updates, right?
Hell, for 20s, Groundhog, I mean, might be naked today when he tries to see his shadow here. So, yes, good Monday morning to you. Certainly a busy weekend on the hardwood, and here we are. Super Bowl week is here.
I had read last night that if it doesn't get over freezing today, and it's supposed to be at 31 degrees, James, that it might not get over freezing again for like 4 or 5 days, and it's already been almost a week without getting over freezing. It's crazy. I don't know about that stuff. But it was a lot of fun. I stayed inside, watched a lot of sports, went and saw my son play at a music competition out at Ben Davis High School on Saturday, where a lot of high school kids were out there doing stuff. So that was a lot of fun. But then it was time to just settle in and watch a bunch of basketball. And, man, was I rewarded when I was Saturday night checking out Indiana, and they got that nice overtime win on the road against UCLA, and they're starting to find themselves a little bit with the addition of Nick Dorn. Starting to feel pretty good, Kevin.
Yeah, one of the wilder games you'll see. I mean, obviously they played so great for 38, 39 minutes there, and then just pure chaos transpires over the final minute or so. Yeah, again, Nick Dorn just adds something for him. We talked about it about a week and a half ago, that game at Rutgers. It's a very different starting group when he is out there versus Tate and Conaway, and I know injury has played into that, but what a week for Indiana, to beat Purdue and to go to UCLA and win on the road. That is exactly what their resume needed. It's a little bit of house money tomorrow night against USC to round out this road trip. So a great and needed week for the Indiana Hoosiers. And again, Darren DeVries and company, I think they found a little something there with Nick Dorn in the starting lineup.
And more Pacers news coming up in a few minutes, too, regarding the All-Star game. So stay tuned for that coming up in the check down. But, James, also, are you just getting excited? Giddy, can't wait, pacing, walking up and down the stairways at your place, waiting for the flag football game Tuesday night for the National Football League?
Not a chance. Is that what it is?
I had to look it up. I think it's Tuesday night. I didn't know when it was
because I saw that Jonathan Taylor was there along with Tyler Warren for the Colts. But, yeah, at this point, I mean, I feel like me and you can get nominated to go to the Pro Bowl. So it is what it is. I'm just ready for the Super Bowl.
I think you're making reference to the fact that Shedeur Sanders has been named a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Oh, it's not just him. I felt this way for a while, but yes, it is kind of crazy that Shedeur is there. Gardner Minshew a couple years ago was there.
Is the Joe Flacco thing real?
Joe Flacco thing is real.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's there, yeah.
So that's another thing where I'm just like, wait.
So those tweets I saw where Kevin Stefanski got fired of the 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks is real?
That's a real factual tweet. And that's like the first Pro Bowl nod of Joe Flacco's career. Not that he won a Super Bowl or anything way back when.
That's a Cleveland Browns quarterback tree there, man. You didn't get any better Cleveland Browns quarterback knowledge than that right now.
Quarterback tree, and I just think of a tree, getting uprooted or something like that.
Do we want Jonathan Taylor be playing in that flag football game?
Sure. I mean, what is playing? Is it just standing there and taking pictures and live streaming it for some, I don't know, YouTube watcher somewhere? I have no idea I don't know what transpires anymore at the Pro Bowl games.
They said flag football game. I'd taken them at their word right there.
Oh, boy.
Man, I can't see a lot of great outcomes because it seems like you never want this for anybody. But, Kevin, you get a bunch of guys out there that are elite athletes and they're just running around, screwing around, having fun. You don't want somebody to break an ankle or do something like that and set yourself back with a franchise. Like, I don't know what we do with the Pro Bowl, but I don't want my guys playing flag football when there's millions and millions of dollars on the line. And if it's one of your best players, and arguably you'd think they are because they're at the Pro Bowl, I don't know. It just feels weird to me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy we've gotten to this. Can you, like, we used to play a real football game. Like, Sean Taylor used to decapitate a punter.
He did.
How times have changed. Now we're worried about a flag football game.
Well, that's where we're at right now, and so much going on. Wanted to talk more about college basketball. Man, we had been talking about the rebounding in the last couple of weeks in the losing streak for the Purdue Boilermakers, but they didn't have a problem rebounding the other day. I know that they were supposed to win and win handily against Maryland, but they took care of their business. They look like the Purdue team they're supposed to be.
Yeah, the ultimate slump buster, the Maryland Terrapins this season. Fletcher Lawyer shot the hell out of it. And yeah, I mean, exactly what you would want to see out of a team that you expect to play into April. Really, I feel like we're kind of going to go through the motions next week. You know, it's their bye week this week right here in the Big Ten. They'll play Oregon Saturday. Oregon is awful this season. And then Purdue is one of the crazier gauntlets you'll see in the Big Ten there starting next week. So I kind of think it's just, all right, get to, maybe it is a little bit of a confidence boost for a guy like Lawyer. And again, Oregon on Saturday is not going to test you in any way, shape, or form. But then starting next week, it is a hell of a run for the Boilers. So, yeah, definitely needed to do what they did yesterday to Maryland, treated them like the worst team in the Big Ten. And now we just kind of wait about a week or so, and then we'll get a little bit of a truer evaluation of, okay, where are they at against, light competition.
I was looking at that Maryland game, and there was a guy in the stands that they showed once or twice wearing like this cap that's essentially a turtle on his hat. You got to be a big fan to be doing that. To be like a 50-year-old dude wearing a hat shaped like a turtle to a basketball game.
Hey, man, that's dedication. That is dedication right there. I feel like we should all came in wearing headbands today. Speaking of things we could have worn on our heads, shout out to Pascal Siakam, and now 4-time All-Star for the Pacers. I know a lot of the criticism I read over the weekend was about him being the 13-win team or being a part of the 13-win team, but nevertheless, he was voted in by the coaches, and I think deservedly so, putting up all-star numbers. And quietly, I do think when it's all said and done, he might have a chance to say, hey, put me in the Hall of Fame. He is now, like I said, 4-time All-Star, NBA champion. I believe he's been twice All-NBA, and he wasn't just on in a championship team. He was the second leading scorer on that team. So we'll save that discussion for another day. But I think Pascal Siakam, whether you like it or love it here in Indianapolis, it has happened. So congrats to him.
We want him to keep adding to that resume over the next 4 years, 5 years, right, Kevin?
Boy,
let's go.
I know James is out a few days. I'm exhausting of the Hall of Fame debate. So, James, I'll let you take that one after the week we just had in debating Hall of Fame resumes.
Yeah, I have no opinions on that.
And I tend to think the basketball just kind of participate trophy a little bit more with their Hall of Fame compared to the NFL.
That's why I'm looking at some of these names that are already in, and I'm like,
in Major
guy
League
who won a
Baseball.
championship and a couple All-Stars in there. Not a bad decision to make, possibly. But shout out Spicy P.
beyond well-deserved for Pascal Siakam. And honestly, this month of January for the Pacers, and I get there are some fans a little nervous about it, but they have not only won this month, but I think some of their young guys have also stepped up a little bit. And to me, I think that's the ideal scenario if you are going to play the win game. And again, it gets nervous real quick when you look at these tanking standings here. But if you're going to win, I think you want it to be where Pascal Siakam's not just scoring 30 a night. You want Jarris Walker to show some growth. You want Johnny Furphy to show some growth. Benedict Mathurin, I think, has had some moments since he came back from injury, and now we await Thursday.
I like that
Thursday
spot, yeah.
will be the big day with the NBA trade deadline here. And, do you see a big shift in what the new era will look like when Tyrese Halliburton gets back? And what is Benedict Mathurin's future with this team? So back-to-back tonight, tomorrow, Houston. No Kevin Durant tonight. So for our fans out there that enjoy seeing the West Coast teams, Kevin Durant's lone meeting here. I believe it's only the third game he's missed all season. Kevin Durant is out for tonight.
Go back to Saturday, and you're talking about the Pacers and specifically Jarris Walker and Johnny Furphy. Both starting in that lineup, and it was a smaller lineup. And Rick said afterwards that it really don't get used to the small lineup. It's kind of matchup dependent, but it worked, and he kind of likes it when it is matchup dependent. But Johnny Furphy playing 5. How about that?
Yeah, they've done that a little bit here. I didn't think Furphy played great, to be honest with you, Saturday. I actually thought Walker and again, I thought Mathurin did some things that we're not really used to from him. A little bit more of the little things. from him and watching that game. Shout out to Jeremiah Johnson. He dropped a Blink-182 All the Small Things reference in the post game. I love that. Mark Dagnan, we could get All the Small Things maybe on a
Sure.
at some point. And by the way, Mark, welcome back.
Yeah. How are you doing? I know that James was out. He was ill and sick, but you were traveling the globe once again, right?
No, just hanging out. Just doing my thing.
Laps around Hendricks County.
Next 4-day weekend will be
TBD. Not yet determined. Hey, the company offers you PTO and says you have to use it by January 31st. I'm going to use it.
Smart man.
No, I have no problem with that. And James, you were talking about, we were talking about some of the high school basketball. It had your name written all over it. I know you weren't feeling that well over the weekend, but did you see in Carmel, the Carmel Fishers matchup?
Yeah, I got a chance to kind of follow along on Twitter, and I follow all of these like highlight pages now because every school you go to, every big game you go to, there's a bunch of videographers. So I saw some of the shots, and Fishers, they're getting into that territory of one of the greatest regular season win streaks you'll probably ever see in high school sports here in this state. I know they lost the state championship last year, but boy, only have one loss in the span of about 2 years here is pretty impressive stuff. And they continue to show why they're possibly the 4A front runner, I would think.
And of course, Kevin Bowen still basking in the afterglow of another city championship for Cathedral. They just own that tournament.
Yeah, girls sectionals this week, right? So
Tuesday, baby.
February is
Tomorrow,
here,
actually.
so we're starting to get into that time of year. Fingers crossed, weather-wise. I guess if you're going to have what we did, have it last week when the games don't matter as much here. But yeah, shout out, by the way, Cooper Zachary. I mean, the shooting performance he had on Friday night as well for Fishers. But yeah, it looked like a hell of an atmosphere inside of the Eric Clark Activity Center, and Fishers survives and gets it done there.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll check it all down, give you a very busy detail over what happened this weekend, and then we'll start talking about the Pacers playing a little bit better. They'll be back at home tonight. A lot of great college basketball coming up this week, and we saw over the weekend. We'll do that. We'll take your phone calls and your texts at 239-1070. Talk to Nathan Brown and Alex Golden before the day is done. A lot to do, not a lot of time to get it done. We'll take a break. Checkdown's next.
Indoor and outdoor concrete. Boy, I know it seems like a while, but yes, you will be wanting to be outside at some point here in 2026. And when I say indoor and outdoor concrete, think patios, porches, sidewalks, basements, certainly, garages as well. You know, patios is what Galaxy Concrete Coating specializes in so much. It's one of their big time buyers. And, again, from a hospitality standpoint, entertaining people outside, you want to do that. And when we say indoor and outdoor concrete, that's what we're getting at. Patio is where they step up. So galaxyconcretecoatings.com, that is a website. You head there, you'll see the pictures and styles available to you, and manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime. So I love that. Again, it's indoor and outdoor concrete. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Think garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Contact them today. It's galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Good morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. It is the Morning Checkdown live from the DriveHubler.com studios. Gentlemen, Pascal Siakam is indeed an all-star. He's been named to the reserve squad for the Eastern Conference over the weekend, averaging just under 24 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds per game. He is the lone Pacers representative, and as you were mentioning a moment ago, James, well-deserved for a guy who just brings it every single night.
Yeah, you forget that he started his career in the now changed. It was the D League, now it's the G League. But yeah, he's kind of a self-made star, worked his way up, and now he's considered one of the best players perennially in the NBA.
All right, Pacers getting a win over the Hawks on Saturday night, 129-124. Andrew Nembhard led the way with 26, Siakam 25, Jarris Walker at 11 points and 10 rebounds. But Thursday is the NBA trade deadline. Kevin Bowen, is there a Pacer to be moved and a center to be gained?
Yeah, I almost am resigned to like that happening. I don't know if there's a lot of substance, I guess, behind my thinking, to be totally clear to everybody out there, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. We'll see what happens. I've got 2 games, I guess, between now and the deadline. I want to say it's a 3:00 deadline coming up on Thursday, but if you play this out, and we can get into a little bit of the Kansas BYU game, Kevin Pritchard in the building there, the Darren Peterson situation is interesting watching him play basketball this year. But yeah, I almost am expecting some move. That's more of gut feel than like brain, but we'll see. Thursday could be a huge day in reshaping what the future looks like alongside Tyrese Halliburton.
We'll keep you tuned right here to 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Anything happens, we will let you know. The Rockets will be in town tonight at the Fieldhouse to take on the Pacers. 6:30 airtime here on The Fan. 7 p.m. tip. No Kevin Durant, out with a left ankle sprain. College hoops yesterday, Purdue brings an end to their losing streak. They beat Maryland 93-63. Fletcher Loyer unconscious, James. 29 points. He was 7 of 10 from three-point range.
Yeah, JMV tweeted me yesterday and told me Fletcher Loyer was shooting like him. And to give JMV his credit, he was definitely shooting pretty well yesterday.
So Purdue gets the win there. On Saturday, Georgetown defeated Butler at Hinkle 77-64, the score in that one. Indiana in overtime beat UCLA Saturday night 98-97. Nick Dorn scored 26 points. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Kevin. The Hoosiers are 3-0 since he returned from injury and entered the starting lineup this year.
Yeah, big minutes from Reed Bailey as well. I think he's a guy that's underperformed this season, but I thought he was really critical in Indiana pulling that one out. And again, Dorn just changes so much. We saw earlier in the year, I think Washington is one of the teams that went triangle and 2, trying to take away Lamar Wilkerson, Tucker DeVries. And it's like, wait, if you can put another 6'7" shooter into that starting lineup, that changes, how you have to defend Indiana. So just a wild game Saturday night there. They survive, and Mick Cronin was, per usual, irate.
Hilarious.
Post-game. Hilariously irate.
Yes. Said his team was pouting in the huddles.
Was it the Texas coach who said, like, I leave my players must be betting on the games? And I was like, whoa, that might be a little crazier to say than what Mick Cronin usually says. So, yeah, I guess he didn't go that far.
Yeah, you mentioned Reed Bailey. He and Lamar Wilkerson both scored 24 in that one. Also, Syracuse will win over Notre Dame Saturday, 86-72. On Tuesday, Indiana will finish off their West Coast trip there. They'll take on USC. Butler will play at Providence on Wednesday. Notre Dame at Louisville on Wednesday as well. And the IU women got their first Big Ten win over the weekend, 87-75 over Northwestern. We talked about high school basketball on Saturday. Number 1 ranked Fishers, 53. 7th ranked Carmel, 50. Zachary Cooper scored 16 with 5 3-pointers.
Zachary.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah,
Zachary
flip that
Cooper.
around.
Sorry about that. I got to put the comma in there.
You're all good.
I did a little Ron Burgundy there.
He's so good he has 2 first names.
I did a little Ron Burgundy there, Mark Dyke. Then just keep reading, right? That's how that goes. Australian Open over the weekend. We've been covering it for the last week. Carlos Alcaraz defeated Novak Djokovic, despite the fact that Djokovic, coming off a win over Sinner in the semifinals, won the first set. For a minute, it looked like he was going to win again at 38.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Obviously one of the best tennis players ever, but you got a new star being born or having been born now that he's completed the career Grand Slam, right? So, boy, at 22, what was I doing? I think I was graduating college and trying to figure out how to, make sure I could pay my car note. This kid's on top of the world.
Kevin, Major League Baseball, the Reds have signed Eugenio Suarez to a 1-year, $50 million deal, bringing him back to the Cincinnati Reds. Should have never left, but he's back for 1 year. He's 34 years old now. Let's see what happens.
Need a bat behind Ellie, so they try to pursue the hometowner and Kyle Schwarber. So, yes, Mr. Suarez is back there. Obviously, we saw him moved at the deadline last year to Seattle, so much needed. And I know Joel Erickson's counting down the minutes at this point. Pitchers and catchers returning here at some point in the month of February.
Justin Rose won wire to wire at Torrey Pines over in San Diego in the Farmers Insurance Open. All he did was break Tiger Woods' course record for the tournament, 23 under par. He wasn't even challenged yesterday.
Kevin played taps in his backyard. Tiger Woods' record going down.
That was one of the more dominant performances we've seen, frankly, Thursday to Sunday in the PGA Tour in a long time.
And my favorite part of the weekend, Mark, we had a goalie fight at the Stadium Series in Tampa yesterday.
Let's go.
The Bruins were leading the Lightning 5-2 in the second period. It was a 5-on-3 in favor of Tampa Bay, and Jeremy Swayman didn't like one of the forwards for Tampa Bay kind of getting in the crease and whacking at his glove, so he started to throw down, and the goalies looked at each other, and next thing you know, Swayman and Andrei Vasilevsky are going at it at center ice, and the one mistake that Swayman made, he did not realize, Kevin, that his counterpart was a lefty. And so he struggled a little bit in that fight. He said, I didn't have any idea he was a lefty till we got out there. First fight either has had in the National Hockey League. So now we're good. I like it. Anything else you guys want to throw in?
Yeah, I think we're finished. It sounds like NFL head coaching cycle. Clint Kubiak, the new head coach of Fernando Mendoza.
That's what they're talking about, yeah.
So the Raiders, that report, and then Mike LaFleur to Arizona. So I think if you add it all up, that is now 10 openings that have been filled. I assume that means Lou Anarumo is staying with the Indianapolis Colts. We'll await Jim Bob Cooter and potentially, the domino effect that can come off of that. Does Seattle now need a new offensive coordinator with Clint Kubiak, reportedly going to the Raiders there. So looks like a Super Bowl week is here. We have finished that off.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk more about the Pacers with an all-star on the way. And Indiana gets a big win over the weekend. What does it mean for their tournament future? It's all straight ahead at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Going back in time there, Mike Dayton. I like it.
It's Groundhog Day.
I know. Is it today or tomorrow? I always thought it was
Now.
the second. Isn't that right now? Is Phil doing his thing?
That rat is hiding out in Puxatawny and is about to let us know what the deal is with the weather.
Saw a shadow.
James almost saw his shadow and went back into his room this morning.
Almost. I almost made a crazy joke there, but I'll leave it at that.
It is Monday, and yeah, you're right, 2nd of February. I keep thinking it's the 1st today, coming out of the weekend, Mark, so thank you. But yeah, Pascal Siakam named an all-star for the Indiana Pacers, and they do have a very interesting thing going on here in the second half of the year. You've been talking about it for about a week now, Kevin, and we've been discussing it as well. They're starting to kind of look like a team we thought they would be without Tyrese Halliburton at the beginning of the season, and at that point in time, I thought, 35 wins, maybe 40 wins. Are they going to? A lot of people are now worried they're going to play themselves right out of the top 6 or 7.
Real quick, the groundhog has seen his shadow. 6 more weeks.
Oh, it's
of
done.
winter.
We have breaking news.
Yeah.
See, you would have had a better chance with me because walking out at about 6:45 in the morning, hard to see my shadow.
When do the groundhogs get retired? Like, it's no way that's an OG.
Where do I go with
Puxatawny
that, James?
Hey, I'm just saying, hey, you asked me a question, I answered.
I saw a tweet yesterday where if Phil sees his shadow, he put Phil on the grill.
Oh, man.
I don't know if that was politically correct
boy.
to say, but with the
Well,
week,
fire it up.
with the week we've just had, Mark Dykton turn on the gas, right?
Fill the propane.
Did you guys check out Caitlin Clark on NBC on Basketball Night in America?
That had to be an AI video, right? When Reggie Miller compared her to Peyton Pritchard.
Dude, okay, so I've been around Caitlin
That
enough.
was not real, correct?
That was real, but I will say
We might as well stop the 2026 dumbest comments I've ever seen.
I've been
Peyton
around.
Pritchard for Caitlin Clark?
I've been
Reggie,
around-
what are we doing?
Dude, he is a
To her
comedian.
face.
A comedian, and then I've been around her.
But he was
enough
serious,
to
was he
know-
not?
I think he was serious. But the funny part about Caitlin is that she is always, I would say, correct in the way she expresses herself for the amount of fame that she has. Like, I can't think back to many missteps that Caitlin has had when it comes to being in the public eye. But boy, her facial expressions are so funny having been around her the last couple years, because if you go back and watch that clip,
She doesn't hide body language.
when he said Peyton Pritchard, her body language shifted immediately. And this is my thing with the legends who are on these shows, and it's fine. We all have our takes. I'm sure we've all said dumb stuff here on the radio, and normally Mark will give us a buzzer or one of us will call each other out. They just let him do that. And I'm like,
Yeah, Mello needed to step in.
yeah, the rest of the show needed to wait a second here, Reggie. Are you drunk right now or what's going on? That was so funny. Caitlin, no, I don't think your NBA comparison is Peyton Pritchard, but boy, the reaction was so funny.
Do you have a little Caitlin Clark making her debut on NBC last night, Mark? Is Mark even there?
I was like, I guess we got to.
He's working on something back there. He's got headphones on. He's
boy.
not listening to
Oh,
the
boy.
show.
That means I'm going to be in trouble.
Firing
with-
up the grill for Phil.
I know.
Mark, are you there? Are you available? Do we have
man.
you? No, he's not. He's
No,
working on
I was
something.
trying to pull the Peyton Pritchard clip, but yeah,
Okay.
she looks like someone just told her grandmother died or something like that.
I mean, I literally, that's kind of the life, I guess. I don't know if you all live it now, but like every time I see a ridiculous video like that, I just assume it's AI. And I was like, wait, is that real? That can't be real.
How much basketball do you think Reggie actually watches outside of the games he has to call? Because,
I mean, he's on Dan Patrick like each week.
but then last week on Dan Patrick, he said that Derrick Rose and LeBron James were rivals for 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose was good for like two and a half years.
Some of the historical stuff I can let slide a little. Like
Man,
when
I
you
ain't
go
let
back.
that slide either.
But comparing Caitlin Clark to like whatever, a nice bench
sixth
player in
man
the
of the year
NBA,
candidate?
yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
what in the world? So
That was rough.
yeah, shout out to her. I mean, I did catch a little bit of it. I know
thought she was good.
She had some CBA comments. She seems pretty confident that something is going to get done here soon. I mean, we are 2 months away from training camp, 2.5 months away from training camp. Like it is kind of nearing. So we'll await that from a WNBA standpoint.
I think she split in head-to-head 2 games with Jamal Crawford in NBC instead of pig or horse. They played NBC.
So who is her NBA comparison? It probably is Steph, right? I'm trying to think of somebody else who shoots it very well, distributes. Damian Lillard when he's healthy. But let's start there, Reggie. Let's start with an all-star caliber player.
A point guard that shoots threes, deadly threes.
I mean, yeah, those are the two that come to mind for me. I'm trying to think of others. Trae Young, maybe, but
Yeah, Halliburton, I think, is a very fine and fair comparison
fair
there.
enough.
And he goes Peyton Pritchard on her.
yeah, the Halliburton comparison is a layup especially for the guy who is Indiana, is the legend from Indiana. Boy. Shout out to Reggie Miller, man, comedian.
That was on my TV for a while last night. I didn't even realize that I had missed it until this morning when I woke up and started checking social media feeds. Mark, did you pay attention to the Grammys at all last night?
Not
Totally
a second.
off my radar.
Not a second.
Totally off my radar.
I did watch a little bit of it. I like to see some of the performances. Shout out to Olivia Dean. I feel like every song she touches is gold. Just the vibes are great whenever I hear her sing, and so for that reason alone, I'll watch. But yeah, there's always some artist somewhere that does something in one of these performances, and I'm just like, I have no idea what any of that meant, but I guess it's artistic expression. So congrats to whoever that is.
Any thoughts at all on what you did see? Who was the big winner? Anything like that? Anybody walk away with a huge haul last night?
Well, shout out to Kendrick Lamar. I believe he's now the biggest Grammy award-winning artist in hip-hop history. I believe he has 26 Grammys, which is the most all-time now, which is just crazy to think about. I'm like, wow, if you win one Grammy, you're a legend. You win 26, it's like you win every year. So, yeah, that was about it. But my sister probably tells me more about this later today when I catch up with her because she was all about it. I tried to call her and, do the whole family thing and how are you? And she was like, yeah, I'm watching the Grammys, so I'll have to call you back later. Didn't get that call back.
I'm just curious, with so much going on this past weekend, where was your sports focus over the weekend, Kevin, with so much happening?
Well, a lot of basketball. I mean, it was pretty spread out. I mean, honestly, to be honest, that was a really poor loss for Butler on Saturday. I mean, Butler's at a point right now where you have got to control certainly home floor, and then steal. UConn coming up a week from Wednesday. They've got at Villanova a little bit later this month there. So that was a very, very brutal loss for Butler and just a horrific second half. Shooting the basketball there. And then obviously the Indiana game that we've chatted about was just one of the wilder college basketball games certainly they've played this season. The amount of foul, obviously blowing the lead. They played so well. I guess start there. You play so well for 35, 38 minutes and you blow the lead. You think to yourself, there's no way. Then the foul trouble starts to go against them. They're losing guys. And yet they're able to make the plays there to end it. Trent Slisley had some wild drives there late in the game, and then he has the knack to just kind of flick one up there at the end of the second overtime and then hit the free throw for the win there. And then Purdue, the ultimate slump buster in the Big Ten this season tends to be Buzz Williams, Maryland Terrapins, and Purdue needed that. Fletcher Lawyer needed that. And all you need to do is watch the first 5 minutes of that game, and that told you everything you needed to know about Purdue. So, yeah, good amount of hoops on. I watched a little bit of that BYU-Kansas game. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I did not see that.
Oh, boy, yes, I did.
Kevin Pritchard in the building. A lot of NBA scouts in the building for A.J. DeBanza and Darren Peterson. And I think the Darren Peterson draft debate is going to be fascinating. That dude is an incredible talent. I tend to think he is the best player in the draft. But you're telling me he didn't play in the second half because of cramps? And you watch him on the bench, he looked like he should be front row of the Kansas student section. And this is the 5th or 6th time this season, Kansas had a very meaningful game with critical whatever you want to state about, the Big 12 standings and, another ranked team. And if you want to play the DeBanza card, and he's not playing. And it always seems to be whatever, an ankle, a hamstring, a cramp. It's like, wait a minute here. If he can't play a 30-game college basketball season, what do you project for an 82-night NBA season? Or is this just purely load management by his team? Is this the reality of where we're at in today's world of college sports? Where his team looks at him and says, you know what? And by team, I mean agent, whatever, handlers. They say, dude, just play 20 minutes. You're incredible. Look, if you watch the first half yesterday or Saturday, you're blown away by what he showed. And then all of a sudden, he's not playing in the second half. It's just... the whole situation just seems so weird. Bill Self's transparency, lack of transparency. I don't know. I'm very torn on it.
Yeah, it's a bizarre situation. And I'll read this off for you, Kevin, because it is truly nuts to me. So he's only played in 11 of Kansas, 21 games. He's only finished one of them. One finished game out of 11. You played half of the games this year. And I don't know if he's trying to play through injury, so we should give him credit. But at some point, the only thing that would make me hesitate towards choosing him number 1 overall is if this leg stuff is chronic. Like, I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Maybe I'm a little old school in my 30 years of living here on this earth, but cramps. Is he not drinking enough water? Like, how come you haven't figured this out? And you know what? I'm trying to think back. Actually, I want to say it might have been a couple years ago with Paolo Banchero for Duke. He had cramp issues early in the season, and then they figured it out at some point, and he was able to play. You haven't heard about the cramp stuff since. It is February. Like, why is this still happening to him? I don't get that part of it. Like, if it was an issue early in the season, is it conditioning? Is it you're not staying hydrated enough? Is your body composition something? Is something going on? Should you get tested to see, like, why you're cramping so much? I don't get it, but the bottom line is it's almost like you have to bank on the fact that you're only going to get a half of basketball out of him. And so...
You got 18 points out of him in that half.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the half, Jeff, is spectacular. The dude looked like freaking Michael Jordan out there, and I'm actually not kidding. He looked like Jordan.
Like he could get 20 tonight against the Rockets.
It was unbelievable. And then I was watching the game like, where is he? And, yeah, he played a few minutes to start the second half, and that was it.
You want a crazy conspiracy theory in this day and age of NIL?
I mean, feel free. Feel free.
I'll come play for you, but if I don't need to be playing, I want to preserve my body for the NBA.
Boy.
Yeah, have you heard crazier things these days? I'm not saying that's the case, but my point is, with all the stories that we hear, does it not at least run through the back of your head?
It definitely runs through your mind. Like, it's going to be a question that comes up in every interview he does.
Should that be a red flag? You know, because to me, it's very obvious. Like, we're not debating necessarily like, oh, man, how do you think he's going to grow and guard whatever, bigger wings? Or how do you think bigger wings are going to defend him at the NBA level? Like, that's kind of a difficult projection you do with every prospect. With him, there is this clear issue, albeit a murky one. Like, we don't necessarily know the root of it, but, like, he doesn't play. I mean, James just rattled off the back of the baseball card here. The guy barely plays.
He's played in half the games and only finished one. And he's, what, 20 years old, if that, 19?
And we're seeing, for those that haven't followed his story in Kansas this year, it has been a lot of this, where, like, he's incredible for the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes and then just stops playing. I forget which game they had. It was one of those big Monday games where he didn't play the overtimes.
Yeah.
Like, he was unreal. It was a huge reason why the game even got to overtime. And then didn't play in the OTs. And it's like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And it's like, if you are a team and you're getting ready to draft said player, there seems to be this obvious question you have with them. Like, no way are we going to touch that. Like, that is, there is something going on here that is not adding up whatsoever. And again, you're projecting a season that's what? Almost 3 times as long? Tack on playoff games. I mean, how many games did the Pacers play last year? Over 100? And this guy's not able to make it through a 30-game season here. So, boy, I who knows? Maybe the Pacers will start winning too much, so this won't be a debate for him. But
well, in all seriousness, it really makes you wonder, as James said, is he nursing some kind of undisclosed injury that he can kind of play with, but they don't want to make it worse? It's kind of weird, man.
Yeah, it is very weird. I mean, I'm looking at him, and I was like, boy, you pair that 6'6" guard with Tyrese Halliburton, and I see great things for the Pacers' future, but no team can
50
invest
times a year.
you can't invest the number 1 pick in a guy you don't know if his legs are going to work at the next level. So it's all very bizarre. But I will say this. It took one half of basketball to tell me who the most talented player is in college basketball. He went right at AJ DeBanza and made him look normal.
And again, he has looked like that a lot this year. Like, that was not just a one-game sort of thing. I mean, when he does play, it's a world of talent, but good luck sifting through that.
Yeah, one of our YouTube commenters with a hilarious name, inevitably injured Indiana, says, I could see Peterson being Markelle Fultz or Kyrie Irving, no middle ground. Boy, that's scary stuff right there, because Kyrie, Hall of Famer. Markelle Fultz, I don't even know where he is right now in the NBA.
And honestly, I'd feel almost a little better if this was just like one injury.
Right.
There's a lot. I mean, it seems like every one game it's cramps, then it's the hamstring, then it's the ankle. It's like and then it's like, did he practice? Did he not practice? There's just and I get college athletics. There is a general lack of transparency.
Yes.
Like there's not as clear cut. I know we've tried to adopt the injury reports that come out, but there's still not a lot of detail behind players that are injured here.
And then he barely speaks, so you don't know. Like, you can't ask him what is going on with you.
Right. So
Wes chimes in on the text line, says the rumor is that he's had a lingering hamstring issue for most of the season, which would kind of make sense if you're trying to nurse something and not make it worse, but still get some time in, right?
Yeah, but then I'm also like, well, then shut him down and get him 100% for the tournament. I don't know. It's all very weird. But shout out to Kevin Pritchard for being boots on the ground there. Had a turtleneck on. My boy KP was clean. I was like, okay.
that's his college, right?
Yeah. You know, I'm sure he goes back often, but, you know, there was other business to attend to on that particular day, Kevin.
DJ and Indy says drafting on athleticism can be scary. Ask Ballard. The thing about Pearson, though, he's not just athletic. He can play basketball.
No. He is a great basketball player. It's more of like,
can you hold up?
Can he last 82 nights? I mean, I'm not even saying 82 nights. Hell, can he last 50?
Boy, already low in the bar for a 19-year-old. This doesn't feel good.
But hell, if the Pacers continue to play like they are,
it won't matter.
They'll be drafting Braden Smith.
Speaking of college basketball, big win for Indiana. They got another quad one win. Mark, do you have that Darren DeVries talking about where his team stands right now with getting that big one in UCLA and where they go from here?
I really have like zero concern about that right now. To me, it's just win the next game. And like I said, if you stack up enough of them, it'll be what it's going to be. But we can't worry about stuff. I'm only worried about it'll be USC and control what we can control right in front of us. But you know, in the big picture, yeah, do they mean something? Yeah, absolutely. But in order to make it, you got to beat those teams, and you know, those are two really good wins that you know, will carry us for a while.
I love the fact that he's like, I can't worry about that. You win the games, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, but I also feel like if we had $1 for every coach that said control, we could control, we would be very rich men right now.
But it's true, though.
All you got to do is listen to the final 5 seconds. I mean, he admits.
Finally, yes.
The first 20 seconds he doesn't say anything, and then the final 5 he admits full well what that means to him. Yeah, it was a massive week for Indiana. It's really one of the better weeks we've seen in college basketball this year. I mean, you get a top 10, top 15 win, and then you come back and you get a ranked road win that's a quad one win. I mean, that's a great week for a resume that had zero substance 7 days ago. And now tomorrow night, it's really house money. They'll get another opportunity. It is another quad one road win. And, you know, the thing about Indiana is, you know, there are times over a college basketball season where you have, you know, ups and downs and, you know, whatever. The team that you are in December might not be the team you are in February and vice versa. But Indiana is legitimately a different team with Nick Dorn. Like, he wasn't healthy early in the season. It took him a while to then get into the rotation. There was a flash or two in the non-conference. But now, you know, he's playing, 20, 30 minutes a night. He's in the starting lineup, and it's a totally different starting lineup with him versus a second point guard in Tatum Connerway. And so, you know, that's where I think you kind of rewrite Indiana's season now of like, no, this is a different starting lineup than the one that, struggled and lost to Minnesota or, you know, was without that quality win until last week. So we'll see how it continues to unfold here. But, boy, that was a wild one. And I would say Indiana got a nice little road whistle if you ask Mick Cronin postgame there. With the ball
not happy.
Being given to Indiana there underneath their own basket.
When it looked like it clearly went off the Indiana players' fingertips there. Yeah.
Yeah, to say he was not happy would be an understatement. Although I don't even know, is Mick Cronin ever happy?
No. He's in his natural state.
Someone was asking him about the game, and he was like, see, I'm not one of those other guys. When we lose, I see no hope. But I was like, what is going on? Like, he needs to lay on the couch somewhere. But it makes for very funny sound bites. I don't think he answered any question that was asked of him. It was just like him cutting off the reporter and then being very negative. Boy, the self-talk with him has to be very bad.
James, did you see Illinois moved into a tie for first place in the Big Ten with a road win at Nebraska this weekend?
We might be the best team in the Big Ten. I'm not actually saying that as a joke. They are legitimately a great basketball team right now, rolling. I think it's 11 straight. So
is this dude a top 10 pick?
Keaton Wagler, yeah, he's raising his stock. I mean, I'll be honest, I did not expect this from him at all. I figured he'd be a pretty good freshman, but yeah, he's turned into one of the best players in the country.
Like, we're not there yet. And again, ping pong balls can go a slew of different ways. But if indeed the Pacers continue to win, then do we have to start shifting our thinking a little bit here to Wagler, the kid from Houston, a little bit more the back end of that lottery there that isn't Debanza, Peterson, Caleb Wilson, Boozer, like that. Again, who knows? The odds, can literally are a coin flip. But that might be a conversation that we have to have here.
Mark is very upset that you have mastered the name Caleb Wilson now.
My finger on the trigger for the buzzer.
I saw the hand hovering over there.
I will say Keaton Wagler 6'6", so one of my things when it comes to drafting guards early is like, if you got the size, that helps a ton.
All I know is last time I saw him, he was just filling it up from 3-point range last week. He had the 40-burger man. He was doing that. We got a lot going on today. Nathan Brown coming up at 8:30 this morning. We'll talk basketball to him, too. We'll talk all kinds of things. 9 o'clock, Alex Golden going to stop by. Pacers coming off the win. They've got the Rockets in town tonight. No Kevin Durant. Out with a left ankle sprain. Is that what I saw? Ankle sprain?
Yeah, just the third game he has missed all season long. So, again, I think for some fans out there, particularly fans with young kids, when you see the Western Conference teams pop up on the schedule, they only come here once. And so a little bit of a bummer here that Kevin Durant is out for this one. Back-to-back for the Pacers, not the Rockets. The Pacers have Hawks, Jazz. We've seen Siakam sit the second night of back-to-backs, I feel like, recently here. We saw the Pacers sit a ton of guys that back-to-back in Detroit about a week and a half ago, a couple weeks ago. So just FYI for tomorrow night, maybe. Obviously no travel with this back-to-back. The Pacers will be at home tonight and tomorrow, but something to keep an eye on here.
All right, that's all coming up in the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on another Monday. You made it all the way to the weekend. And what'd you say? Punxsutawney Phil has seen his shadow, Mark?
Seen his shadow. Fire up the propane, get the grill going. We're getting rid of that rodent.
I see Mark going over the cliff in a truck right now. That's what I see. It's all straight ahead.
I'll bring that rodent with us.
Oh, boy.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The gold standard for hair restoration, it is We Grow Hair in the northwest side. That would be the Pyramids, building number 2 up there. Again, you'll see before and after pictures that I think tell you a full story and exactly what they offer. But certainly your decisions can be more off of just the results. I think the results pretty much speak for themselves. One of the questions I had before starting that process was, okay, what exactly would the recovery look like? And by all accounts, I didn't have too much of an issue. Sleeping upright was a little awkward. Had to do that for a few days. But outside of that, I was back at work 48 hours after procedure and took a trip with some buddies actually that very next weekend. So again, that is We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard for hair restoration, and they are ready to help you out today. Online, wegrowhairindy.com. And up on the northwest side, that would be the Pyramids, building number 2, the best in the business. It is We Grow Hair Indy. We got a big game coming up this weekend, and you know what that means. Big game, big party. You better show up with the Daisy brand. I'm talking the French onion dip or the ranch dip. Hell, just bring both. You will be the life of the party. They are excellent, real herbs and spices, ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. You will thank me later. I don't care if it's chips, wings, veggies. It is an absolute must. Again, that is the Daisy French onion dip and the Daisy Ranch dip. You make sure you show up to the party with that, and people will be inviting you back time and time again. Daisy brand, French onion dip, ranch dip. Thank me later.
They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out till we grow.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You got me, baby, I got you.
This one's for you, Mark. We got a nice little note from Purdue USI dad on the groundhog seeing a shadow this morning. It's a picture of a wolf who says the groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, so I ate him.
Groundhog can kick rocks.
You come out, you put yourself at risk. That's how it goes, James Boyd. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. It is Groundhog Day. He did see his shadow, so you got that to look forward to if you are a cold weather fan, because you're getting lots more cold weather over the next week or so. But it feels almost balmy today, doesn't it? Felt a lot better than it had a week ago.
That's how you know you live in the Midwest,
Man.
baby. You get 20 degrees, and it's like, man, it feels great.
Got spoiled with some fairly mild winters over the past 5-6 years, it feels like, Kevin, but here we are.
Yeah, I ain't calling this cold. I'm calling this a heat wave, man. This feels great outside.
Might get up to 31 today.
As long as the car's starting. Are we done with delays and cancellations, right?
I
Are we
hope
all
so.
good?
I hope so.
As a parent of 3, God, I hope so.
How's that affect your house with everybody still pretty young?
Not too bad, just because Ashley works at one of the schools, so 2-hour delay doesn't affect her too much. But yeah, the full-on cancellation. Thank God it was on a Monday.
Got that going. You're there for daycare, though, you've said before, right? You're good to go?
Yeah, no, I couldn't, babysit last week. I had to take one for the team and sit out a couple of days. Didn't want to get anybody sick. But now Uncle James is back in action, so hit me up.
All right. So here's what we got going on today. Pascal Siakam named as an All-Star on the Eastern Conference reserves. Well-deserved. And look, there would have been some upset this morning had he not been named that, because he has been carrying the load, and he plays night in, night out. He brings it every night. Doesn't matter who he's playing against, what position he's playing. They had him there at times. We've talked about what they've been doing at the 5 spot. They've had him on a 5 fairly often this year.
Yeah, I think looking at the nature of the selection, since it wasn't by the fans or by the media, the reserves, I believe, are chosen just by the coaches. So it lets you know how much respect he has around the NBA to be selected despite the Pacers only having 13 wins. I know that might have been a big sticking point. If you look at like all-star snubs and people who felt like they should have made it over Pascal, I think there's an argument to be made there. But ultimately, they felt like this is the guy who, to your point, Jeff, shows up every night, plays the game the right way. And to Pascal's credit, he really doesn't complain. When you watch him play basketball, there isn't a whole lot of the, dare I say, new NBA where you're kind of trying to trick the refs into a foul call, or you miss a shot and you're on your back and you're complaining about it. Like, he does a lot of stuff that you would probably teach your kids how to do, or how to play the game or approach the game like, when it comes to an attitude standpoint, a care factor, those things. So it wasn't just Pascal Siakam is getting a vote from his head coach. It's Pascal Siakam's getting votes from other head coaches as well.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I think he's been, based off what Rick Carlisle shares with us in our weekly combos, I think he's done a lot for this iteration of the Pacers. I think this would be an easy opportunity for a player of Siakam's ilk, if you will, to kind of check out, to kind of sit there and say, hey, I didn't sign up for this. And honestly, my body could use a little rest. I mean, he's playing a ton of minutes on a team that's not been good, and yet he has delivered in the end of game situations. That's probably the only other thing I'll add, James. I thought you laid it out very, very well. But there's been some big time clutch moments from him this season. And that was a question we had entering the year. Halliburton did so much for you at the end of games last season. It was now going to be, okay, you kind of got this Nembhard-Siakam two-man game. Maybe, of course, Nembhard has been in and out of the lineup. So, very, very deserving. And I think at times you can get very standings-y in breaking tiebreakers for some of these All-Stars. By the way, I have no idea what the All-Star format is. Is it USA World? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but there's like a three-team.
You still got voted on your East-West? Is that how it...
Yeah,
well, there's like two USA teams, isn't that? They're doing like a round robin this year.
I believe so. I want to say it's two USA teams and one world team. And yeah, to Mark's point, it's like a 3-team round robin. I think all that is garbage, kind of like the Pro Bowl games. But nevertheless, I'll just focus on the positive of Pascal Siakam being selected, because trying to understand that stuff, I mean, to be honest with you, I couldn't care less about the format of it because it's just not traditional. I think it's dumb that the NBA kind of did that. I know I'm on a rant now, but I don't know why they just stopped doing the one team versus the other team for about, even if you want to shorten the game, 40 minutes. I don't care, but the round robin thing, like, who cares?
I think in a load management era, there's no way around it. Like, you cannot create a competitive all-star format ever again in pro sports. Hockey is, those people are different animals. I get the Four Nations as but like, there's no way we're ever going to get anything in the Pro Bowl. There's no way an NBA game's ever going to get serious again.
But I will say this: the couple years they had like the Elam ending,
yeah,
whatever,
a little
I
bit.
did like
a little
some
bit.
of that.
Yeah, I think that's a step.
But they took that away, and to your point, yeah, I don't know if anything will ever fix it. But I'd rather watch. Not that I'm going to watch any of this, but I would rather watch a bad regular basketball game than a bad round robin that reminds me of like the 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. games at an AAU tournament with a bunch of nobodies.
I mean,
like,
that all-star performance inside of Gamebridge a few years ago was horrific. I mean, it was just like, is Lillard...
That really was the worst part of the
Lillard
weekend.
or Halliburton going to pull up from the volleyball line? Oh, wait, they're not going to pass to Halliburton. Like, I mean, that was literally the whole story.
That was the thing.
Of that there. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations, Pascal Siakam. You can watch him play tonight at the Fieldhouse against the Houston Rockets.
Real basketball.
Yeah, but no Kevin Durant tonight. He's out with an ankle injury right there. While we're talking basketball, I want to go back to, actually I want to switch over to football because Fernando Mendoza has been making the rounds. Last week he did a talk show. That was a lot of fun. And give me the context for this latest one. I think he was talking to Barstool Sports, was he not? Mark?
So they do a thing. One of my favorite things that Barstool Sports does is Sunday Conversation. The Sunday spelled like a ice cream sundae, and it's with Caleb Presley, and he interviews an athlete or a celebrity for about under 10 minutes every single week. And this week was actually Fernando Mendoza, and so he had him on, and it's good to see guys like Fernando Mendoza. He's very serious and everything, and very like WWE promo like. in his post-game press conferences. So it's nice to see him kind of cut loose and everything. So this is him. They discussed if he has a Curt Cignetti impression in him, and this is what he had to say.
You got the opportunity to play for Coach Curt Cignetti.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Humbling. Yeah, that is humbling.
Why does Coach Sig always do this face?
I don't know if he's like a jaw thing, but I don't know, it's just how it is.
Do you have a Coach Sig impression that you like to do?
I mean, I don't like to do it until now because I would get benched if not. So now it's chill, I'm assuming.
Would you like to do one?
What the f, Fernando? Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Yeah.
What you doing, Fernando? Only in a different way.
Yeah. And then he was also, they discussed, now that Indiana has won, there's a good likelihood that if they keep winning, they're going to become kind of like the Death Star, where people are going to be like, we don't like Indiana anymore or anything like that. So he was saying, when Curt Cignetti eventually starts getting hated in America, will you please send a message to him and just, kind of like time capsule this so we can play this for him when eventually Curt Cignetti is hated in America. And this is what Fernando had to say.
What's up, Coach Sig? This is your former player, Fernando Mendoza. Remember me? Caleb said you're hated by America, but want to let you know that I love you, the people in the locker room love you, and, Chipotle loves your business too. So God bless, brother. Or coach, sorry.
You should probably say something about the cheating allegations, because by that time, they're definitely going to be accusing him of cheating.
Oh, okay. Oh, man. Coach Sig, we all know that cheating allegations aren't true. We believe in you.
Fernando Mendoza, maybe not quite the impressionist that we were hoping.
It's about 6.5 minutes long. It is very, very well done.
Yeah, it's funny. He's been doing well.
See, I would just troll. I would just tell everybody to cheat better. That's how you do it. You don't deny it. You just accept it. Yeah, okay, we cheated. We cheated better than you, losers.
Was it cheating though, or
No.
just taking
No,
advantage
they're
of
just better
the
than
rules?
everybody else in the
Yeah,
country.
that's what there was. Mark, I also saw.
They cheated against Illinois.
That
That 50-point difference, it was all cheating, clearly. Like, what are we doing?
all I know is you had to come to work with candy striped pants on the next.
Yeah, I have the Illinois pants on today, baby. Shout out to Keaton Wagler.
Uh-huh. Also on social media over the weekend, I saw a bunch of people who used to go to school with Fernando Mendoza are like, I'm going to tell you the truth about Fernando Mendoza. Saw this one girl that was in a pre-law class with him at Cal, and she said the professor is one of those guys that likes to ask questions that might be kind of tough, and he likes to pick on the athletes and call them out and see what they know. She said Fernando Mendoza answered every one of his questions all the time. Every time.
No shock there. Yeah, I saw he said to Caleb Presley he's never been to Vegas. So here we go.
They asked if that was going to be a concern. Do you have a concern that there's a lot of like conventions and everything in Las Vegas? Like, I've never been to Vegas. Like, would that keep you from wanting to go? He's like, no, I'll go wherever.
Yeah, I don't know if the humor fully came across on the audio, but it is a very fun segment, as Mark said. So I encourage you. May check that out at 10:01. James, what'd you make Vikings GM getting fired? That was quite the NFL news item here. I think after our show ended on Friday.
The timing of it was horrible, in my opinion, because if you're going to fire the guy, you probably should fire him before you get into all of the draft prep. Right now, it was all about the All-Star Bowls, I guess, if you want to call it that, where you have the East-West Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl and all these things, and he's attending these events for your franchise, and then you fire him. So it felt like if you were going to do this, you should have done it weeks ago, as soon as the season ended. I mean, we talk about it all the time. There are teams where we prepare. I mean, I was one of them. There's some version in my laptop here of the Colts have fired Chris Ballard. You prepare for that moment because you know it's a possibility that it could happen. But the fact that the Vikings stuck with them, I thought that they were going to stick with them through the offseason because you seem to have made up your mind. But, yeah, that's my only thing with it. I don't mind the decision to do it. But the timing of it makes it seem like you all didn't know what you were doing from a hierarchy standpoint. So the Vikings, to me, right now are a mess.
It also does another thing where it's like you're keeping Kevin O'Connell, and now you kind of tied yourself to J.J. McCarthy. So now your next GM has to be on board with both of those guys. Otherwise, they're kind of like lame ducks as well. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it reminded me of the Ryan Grigson firing a lot. The Colts fired Grigson very deep into the month of January. I think Chuck Pagano probably would have stayed for that 2017 season, even if they would have fired Grigson right after the end of the year. I think Jim Irsay had, pretty strong kind of emotional attachment to Chuck there, but I am kind of curious about that. Yeah, Mark, to your point, I'm very curious what it means for quarterback, because let's play this out. If the Colts are going to use the franchise tag on Alec Pierce, that means Daniel Jones, they will have to compete on some open market for him. Now, by all accounts, Daniel Jones wants to be here, and the Colts have made it very clear publicly they want him back. I have always said if there's one team that I could see enter the fray, it's Minnesota. And based off some of the reporting of what has happened here, it sounded like a very he said, she said within the coaching staff, of the coaching staff being more pro, whether it would have been trying to bring Sam Darnold back or trying to go get Daniel Jones and keep him there, I guess. Remember, Daniel Jones was with Minnesota for the final 2 months of the previous season. So that is the one team that I'm kind of like, I understand what Mark's saying, but like, I don't know if they are married to J.J. McCarthy. Like, I got the impression that it was a draft pick that's kind of been a little bit forced upon some of the coaching staff, and it sounds like a very big disagreement there in regards to that, among other things. So I do think that is, because remember, they had all the Aaron Rodgers drama too.
Yeah.
Last offseason seemed like they were trying to do stuff to not necessarily commit to J.J. McCarthy. So
what's the one thing they didn't do, though, at quarterback? They didn't keep Sam Darnold, who's now playing in the Super Bowl. And the dude gets fired right after Sam Darnold qualifies for the Super Bowl.
So does that mean they will go after a Daniel Jones?
I think they're good. I think they've signaled they're going to go after the best quarterback that they can find, because I think they screwed up. They know they screwed up, and they feels to me like they don't think that J.J. McCarthy is the answer.
He's not.
And he's getting blamed for it.
He's not. I mean, if you try to run it back with him, I don't see how you look Justin Jefferson in the eyes and say, there's your quarterback, without trying something different, trying to get somebody different.
Well, he weighed in over the weekend, too. And he said we'd have been a lot better off if Sam Darnold had stayed here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how things shifted so much for the Vikings, because you went from having potentially the pick of Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones to not having either, rolling with J.J. McCarthy, and it backfired tremendously to the point where I would think you have to consider Daniel Jones, coming off an Achilles tear no less, as a better option than the guy you drafted, 9th overall a couple years back. So very unique situation overall there in Minnesota, and I do think they could be in serious contention to try to get Daniel Jones to come back there.
What do you think Daniel Jones, if you gave him truth serum, would say? If you had the Vikings on the table and the Colts on the table, what do you think would be this better situation for him?
Yeah, I would think the Colts, just because he obviously played here and had great success. He never played in Minnesota, but I think there are some reports out there last offseason Minnesota offered more money than Indy. Now, if I'm Daniel Jones, I don't, anytime you sit here and say, well, the money's not going to be the deciding factor, you just sound like an idiot. But, I think Daniel Jones has made a healthy amount of money in his life that he probably should look at his NFL career and say, okay, where did I perform the best at? Oh, it was Indianapolis? Yeah, even if it is going to be a couple million less, I should probably go there. But yeah, it's a good question, Mark.
I think the discussion does underline what we've been talking about, and it magnifies it a little bit more. They got a lot of work to do this offseason if they go ahead and franchise Alec Pierce. And now they're going to have to do something to get a new contract for Daniel Jones. They still don't have a first-round draft pick, and they still have to find an edge somewhere, and they still need to beef up their linebacker core, and they don't know if one of their secondary guys is going to retire with the concussion. I mean, there's a lot to figure out and a lot going on and a lot of redistribution of money that's going to have to take place, Kevin.
Yeah, and we are, I think, starting to near some answers on that. You would assume, I guess, honestly, the Javarius Ward situation is probably the one that he needs to give them some sort of answer. And what are we? We're 3 weeks from tomorrow, I believe, is the NFL Combine. I know it's crazy as that sounds to a lot of people out there. And just to tie a bow on this whole Vikings GM story, ironically enough, their assistant GM, Ryan Grigson. Now, they announced that they have a VP of football ops that will run the show through the draft, and then they will open up the search for a new GM after that. But we'll see if Ryan Grigson, who has not had a GM job since obviously was fired here after the 2016 season, we'll see if he's a candidate at all there.
All right. Everything else you need to know in the world of sports is happening right here, right now.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids online. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Indiana Pacers back at home tonight. They'll be at the Fieldhouse taking on the Houston Rockets. The Rockets will be playing without Kevin Durant. He'll miss the game with a left ankle sprain. Big news for the Pacers over the weekend, but getting a win Saturday night against the Atlanta Hawks. Pascal Siakam has been named an All-Star to the upcoming game that will be played on the 15th of February in Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome. But he is averaging 24 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds a game. And Kevin, we've been talking about it all morning long and all year long. He's one guy that, in this day and age of load management, doing this and doing that, he brings it every single night. Man, is he dependable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the greatest compliment in the world, but he's just a great professional. And, again, a lot of guys I think would maybe turn their head at the season that the Pacers are having right now, and yet he's been there, like you said, pretty much every night and has delivered so consistently amidst all the injuries around him. So major hat tip to Pascal Siakam. Well deserved in that honor. And as James pointed out, the coaches picked the reserve, so I think pretty cool to see other coaches respect him like that.
And James, the Pacers have been playing much better lately. They obviously are getting a little more healthy. They still don't have a center, and that means Thursday, the trade deadline in the NBA. Indiana's one of those teams. A lot of people say watch for them to try and make a move to get a 5, but does that mean that's the end of Benedict Mathurin?
I think in any deal, yeah, that would make the most sense, because to get a player that you want, you probably have to give up a player that somebody else wants. And the most wantable player on the trade market for the Pacers would be Benedict Mathurin. So we'll see what the next couple of days brings. But I could go either way on standing pat or making a move.
College basketball yesterday, Purdue gets off the schneid. They beat Maryland 93-63. Fletcher Lawyer. Almost JMV like we heard yesterday, James. Almost 7 of 10 from three-point range, 29 points.
Big-time performance for him. They needed to get back in the win column. I know it's not a great opponent they faced, but, boy, it would have got really loud in Lafayette had they not pulled that out.
Braden Smith scored 19 points in the win. Also on Saturday, Georgetown, too much for Butler, 77-64. That's an opportunity lost for the Bulldogs, it feels like, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a great opportunity for their resume. It's just an opportunity that you can't afford to now have a stain on your resume like that. Georgetown, I mean, that's a quad 3 home loss.
But you got to win that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to hold serve there. So, awful second half shooting the basketball. They had a chance there. It was down to 5 or 6, I think, at the under 8 timeout, and just awful the rest of the way here. We'll see about Stink Robinson in that wrist injury. It looked like he was favoring that late in the game there. So they are on the road. Coming up here this week, 2 games before they got UConn next week inside of Hinkle.
All right, Indiana got a big quad 1 win this weekend. They beat UCLA 98-97. Nick Dorn, 26 points. Hoosiers are 3-0 since he came back from injury. Lamar Wilkerson and Reed Bailey both scored 24 points. And Darren DeVries talking about the state of the Hoosiers right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's road wins are incredibly hard, and especially when you feel like you got the game kind of in control, and then feel like you just got to finish it out, and then have about everything you can imagine, not go your way, to still be able to come back in overtime and fight your way to a second overtime, and then to come away with a win. I just think it says a lot about those guys that were out there, guys that fouled out. We had new guys coming in, guys in different roles, different positions, and that's what being ready is. And it finishes with Trent Sisley. Freshman who hadn't played a lot in this game, comes in and knocks down the free throw to win the game. But incredibly proud of them. They're just playing their guts out right now, and that's what I love about them. And they, they're just giving us everything they got, and they left it all out there, and fortunately we're able to come away with the win.
Playing pretty well the last week or two. Like I said, ever since Dorn came back, they've got it going on, and that young man can light it up.
Definitely. I mean, if he never misses a 3 again, I think the IU has a very good chance of being good at basketball.
All right, coming up on Tuesday, Indiana will play at USC, Butler at Providence, and Notre Dame plays at Louisville. The IU women got their first Big Ten win over Northwestern, 87-75. Always in the upper echelon of the Big Ten. They just struggling a little bit this year, but they finally got that first win, so maybe that'll get them going a little bit. Major League Baseball news, you see that, all kinds of signings, Mark, as we get closer and closer in the next 10 days or so to pitchers and catchers reporting. The Reds have regained the rights to Eugenio Suarez.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
A year for $15 million. Maybe that adds a little pop to the lineup and a little protection for LA De La Cruz, Kevin Bowen. Our Reds needed it.
I think the Reds win it all next year.
Let's go.
Win what? Spring training? What are we talking about here?
Win everything.
Okay.
Anything else you guys wanted to throw in before we head off to break? We got Nathan Brown coming up in just a few minutes here.
I did see that Paul George got suspended for 25 games for violating the league's drug policy, but it sounds like from his statement and other reporting on the matter that he took something for his mental health that wasn't necessarily to help him perform better, like from a basketball standpoint or from a health recovery standpoint. So a bit of a weird suspension, a gray area there. Obviously, I hope that he can bounce back and be okay mentally with everything that's going on, but a bit of a unique situation for Paul George.
Certainly wish him the best. All right, coming up in a few minutes, Nathan Brown from the Indy Star stops by. He is a master of all subjects, but we'll talk to him about what's happening in the NFL right now, some IndyCar news as well. It's all straight ahead, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Mark, and I don't need to tell you it's been cold outside. It's going to warm up a tad this week, but that still means we're sitting around freezing temperatures. And if you've been noticing your home isn't as warm as it should be, or it's on the struggle bus and having difficulty keeping up with the demand, then it's time to get the folks at Love Heating and Air Conditioning involved and in your home today. Don't delay. Give them a call. 317-353-2141 is the phone number. Or you can check them out online at love-hvac.com. Talk to a customer service rep. Set up a house call. Check out all the products and services they provide. You can also read customer reviews and go over financial options as well if you're ready to take that next step. Do what I did. They took care of my home about 3 years ago. They'll take care of yours as well, whether it's a tune-up or a full-blown replacement. John and Chris Love, they're fourth-generation owners. They'll make sure you're a satisfied customer, just like the Dykton household is. Plus, Love Heating and Air has been serving Indianapolis and Central Indiana and family-owned and operated for over 100 years. 317-353-2141 is the phone number, or check them out online, love-hvac.com.
to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Groundhog has spoken, Mark Dykton.
Saw a shadow. I don't like it. I don't love it, but looks like what we're stuck with.
What do you think the most entertaining, interesting way Bill Murray offed himself day after day after day in that movie was?
When he gingerly walks in front of the car and just raises his hand like, hi, that one. My daughters watch that because they're like, well, what is Groundhog Day? So I try to explain it to them. They're like, we should just watch the movie. And then they're still very confused. Like, is that real? Is that weather related? I'm like, I mean, it's just fun. It's a fun old-timey tradition that we do for some reason.
That's right. You've seen that movie, right, James?
Yeah, classic, right? Rite of Passage movie right there.
I think my favorite is literally, I mentioned the first hour, when the groundhog and he are fighting for control of the wheel. He goes off the side of the cliff. Thank you very much. That's what's happening in the world today. It is Groundhog Day, and it feels like a balmy 22 degrees outside right now, James, on the way to a daytime high of 30. How about that?
We'll take it. This is the Midwest in the winter, and 30 sounds like summer.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate over the last week or two since that snow game in Denver about should all future football stadiums have a retractable dome, much like what we have here in Indianapolis. Where do you fall on that, Kevin? Do you like a good weather game in the National Football League, or are you one of those that thinks it should be climate controlled and just let the players do their thing?
I do. I do like outdoor games. I like venues that involve a little bit of the elements here. So I understand why all these teams and cities are opting for the controlled nature to it. But, I mean, let's not act like that second half of the Denver game is what we get, time and time again. I don't know. Seattle seemed to be just fine for a great game between two really, really good football teams. So I have zero issue with the outdoor games.
I like it. There was a stat for a long time that every time it snowed during a national televised game in Denver, usually like maybe once every other year, something like that, that the ski areas would just get inundated with reservations and requests to come ski and things of that nature. So you got that going on. But I think the bigger reason you're going to see more and more domes built in almost all stadiums that are new with domes on them coming up, if NFL teams can afford that, is the fact that you can hold so many other events in those things all year round, Kevin. It really becomes down to an economic thing, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we got a Final Four here, and what do we have? 3 nights of Taylor Swift last year, and yeah, all of that. James, I see you in the text. You want all-star home court on the line for the NBA? You think that'll do something?
It would. It'll never happen, but I would like to see it.
Like all-star, like home court is in in the finals?
Yeah.
Like the MLB did with the World Series?
Because we were talking about how to incentivize the All-Star game. I don't think money's going to do it because these guys get paid a ton of money. I mean, if you're looking at All-Stars, especially if you're a guy not on your first contract anymore, you're getting probably $50 million a year. So an extra $500K is not going to really change how you approach the game, as crazy as that sounds in today's age. But
you really think home court will?
I think it really would. Yes. I'm dead serious about that.
Well,
I don't think guys will care at all that much more for home court.
Refresh
For
my
real?
yeah.
I mean, if you're Pascal Siakam on a 12-win Pacer team, I mean, Pascal Siakam's going to play hard, I think, no matter what, or at least harder than most. But why would you care about that?
That's true. But, I mean, if you're a team that is in somewhat of title contention, wouldn't you care? Like, if you're the OKC Thunder, if I'm SGA, I mean, and to be not to be bogus to Pascal, but I don't really care what anybody who's on a 13-win team has to do in All-Star game. Brother, you won't be playing anyways when it comes down to it because we're deciding who, I think in the final moments of the game, who's going to be trying to get that home court advantage in the finals. So I would imagine it's all the starters anyways.
What if you get winner, you donate to each player's favorite charity, but the winner gets $1 million to each of their charities?
They're not doing that.
I think it's a lost cause, frankly. I think there's no way to save it. No way. Like, I don't think home court's going to do anything. I think the NBA world's a decent idea. Obviously, the four nations, but hockey players just wire differently. Like, when people compare it to hockey.
They also don't hit in those games.
And, like, Major League Baseball, you would say, is the least physically taxing, and they went away with that. And so I don't see there's any way to save any of these All-Star games. I think we live in an era of load management, and that's just the reality that we're going to have to live with. And as soon as that player whatever, tears his ACL going for a loose ball late in a game with home court on the line, we'll be done with all these All-Star games.
Yeah. Well, remember, and help me out here, Mark, not too long ago, Major League Baseball wanted to make the winner of the All-Star game get home field advantage for the World Series. And then one year, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, both sides ran out of pitchers in an extra inning game, and they didn't quite know what to do. And Bud Selig declared it a draw. I can't remember if that coincided with getting home field advantage in the All-Star game or not. Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I remember the tie, and I remember I was like, I did not stay
Selig,
up till
that's a long,
11:30
long
at
time
night
ago,
to watch
right?
this end in a damn tie.
But that at one point, Selig was like, we're going to make the All-Star game matter. We're going to give home field advantage to the World Series to the winner of the All-Star game.
Yeah, and that was not that long ago, right, that we did that?
No, that's when, yeah. That
But
was
Bud
within the
Selig
last
is a long
decade.
time ago.
No.
Bud, we're going way back. That's Rob Manfred, right? A little bit more of the when we've actually had home field on the
I forget
line.
Rob Manfred exists sometimes.
I just don't think there's any saving these All-Star games, period, like across any sport.
It's really
Especially
doom and gloom.
Especially
Sad
football,
now.
basketball,
Yeah.
and I guess a little bit of baseball here.
The other thing about All-Star games back in the day, too, before every single team was on national television all the time and you could watch your favorite team by paying even an out-of-pocket or out-of-market fee or whatever, there was a long time, before all this happened, pre-2000, pre-1995, All-Star games were the one chance that people outside of market really had to look at some of the guys that were excelling throughout the rest of sports, whether it was baseball, NBA, even to a certain extent, the National Football League. It was a chance for everybody to get to see them.
Yeah, I got a couple hot takes about that maybe we can get into later in the show.
All right. In the meantime, Nathan Brown, he's the Colts insider at the Indy Star. He also covers all kinds of things, especially IndyCar. He joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Happy warm Monday to you, Nathan. It feels balmy out there, does it not?
Yeah, compared to the, fact that it was, 20 or 30 degrees colder than this a couple days ago, I will certainly take this. I'll tell you that.
Nathan, appreciate the time on a busy Monday morning. And Nathan, alongside Joel A. Erickson with your Colts coverage there for the Indianapolis Star. Nathan, what do you think defensively when it's all said and done? We've set the number like 3.5 new defensive starters. If I threw that out for you this offseason for the Colts, 3.5 new defensive starters, would you say under, over on that?
That's a good number. Just thinking through what they need, they probably need at least one new starter on the defensive line. I think you'd probably say, especially from listening to Chris Ballard's end of season presser with us, I would expect at least one, if not two starters on, at linebacker. That Charvarius Ward is uncertain on if he's going to return this season or not. So, when you go through all of that and you have some free agency uncertainty, I'll take maybe the slight over. I think 4 sounds maybe about right, but it wouldn't be a complete surprise if you were even maybe one higher than that.
Nathan, when I look at the Colts, it all comes down to the quarterback, and it comes down to Daniel Jones. And I was reading through your piece, this is probably a couple weeks ago actually, about the conference championship teams and what the Colts can learn from them. And the quarterback question is one that is very unique to me. And as you laid out in your piece, they really got Daniel on a cheap deal last year, $14 million. How do you see that playing out now that he's due for another contract, but he's also coming off an injury, but you also mortgage your future because you had him? So it's kind of a unique situation.
It's so hard to think about how they could think about structuring this deal. We talked about, even before the Achilles injury, it was a lot easier, I think, to project. You could look at contracts from guys like Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold in the recent past, guys that were looking to revitalize their careers and had shown signs that they had done so. And so they got, those 3-year deals right around $100 million in total. And I think that was probably the bench line for Daniel Jones right before he went and tore his Achilles in Week 14 in Jacksonville. So it's hard to think about what that deal would be now. I would have to think it's very team friendly, just because of the uncertainties coming off an Achilles. I know Daniel and certainly know that the team is really confident that he will come back from this without any issues, and even I think will come back, at least according to their projected timelines, in time for training camp. But there are still uncertainties about a major injury like that. I would think, I know both sides want to get a deal together, so you would think that they wouldn't have to go the franchise tag route. That's always an option, but that gets that 1-year deal up around $45 million or so, which is then really hard to continue building a strong team around Daniel if you're having to pay money for a quarterback like him who is was above average, certainly, and really fairly strong in lots of metrics, but before he got hurt, but still not one of your top echelon quarterbacks. I think if they could get something in a longer term deal, maybe right around that $30 million a year range. I don't know what interests you have to balance on both sides of wanting to get some insurance from Daniel and wanting to get maybe some of the same in a different note for the Colts. But I certainly think that they could work something out. But I feel fairly confident, even with the injury, that it's going to be a lot more than $14 million for their starting quarterback this year.
To that end, with no first-round draft pick and they've got some monetary issues to address, how do they go about all this?
Yeah, I think, we started talking about it, and Michael Pittman Jr., frankly, was up front and mentioned it himself in the locker room minutes after the Colts' last game of the year in Houston. There are going to be some tough decisions to make with some guys who they could cut who aren't necessarily ones that we're thinking about, who are who have played their last game of their contract, guys like Michael Pittman Jr., guys like Zaire Franklin, who could be cut and save the Colts a lot of money up against the cap. I think that number for Michael Pittman Jr. is somewhere right around $24 million. I don't have it right in front of me, but that sounds about right. So there are deals like that where you can start cutting some guys that would be freed up at the end of 2026 completely, who you don't have a whole lot of guaranteed money owed to, where you could make some room, because you're going to have to do that to get some more of that money for Daniel Jones, to hold on to Alec Pierce. If you're going to go out and make a splash for someone at defensive end, those moves are not going to be cheap, and so they're going to have to part ways, I think, with a veteran or two who has been on this team for quite some time, who frankly can just save this team some money and whose production maybe isn't quite worth the amount of money that they would be scheduled to be paying them in 2026.
Get Nathan Brown on the Colts beat for the Indianapolis Star alongside Joel A. Erickson. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Nathan, it was a story that broke kind of when we signed off on Friday, and I know you had a few tweets about it, and we're getting into your past history, but you did such a great job covering IndyCar for several years. The announcement of the Freedom 250 coming up this year in Washington, D.C., and the executive order signed by President Trump. With that, obviously, we've seen Fox have their imprint all over IndyCar here in whatever it's been now, a year plus. What did you make of that? It'll be an 18th race here for IndyCar coming up this season, and just everything around that announcement.
I think the first thing that came to mind initially for me was just how resoundingly IndyCar officials told us after the season was over with, after the idea or the possibility of a race in DC started bubbling, in the talk around the paddock. I would say somewhere in late August of last year, right around the last one or two races of the season. And by the time the schedule came out in mid-September, we finally got a chance to ask IndyCar officials. I think Mark Miles was the person who took the question in a Zoom that some of us had with them once the schedule came out, and he said that a race in DC for 2026 was just never really a viable option. And that, frankly, felt realistic when you think about the timelines that NASCAR, IndyCar officials are typically working under for a brand new street race. Those things are, with all the permits you have to come up with, and the planning for the track and massaging the surface to have it raceable with these cars, all the things you have to put together. It's just really difficult to announce something like that less than 12 months before you'd be racing. So even back in September when the schedule came out, it was not surprising that did not end up on the 2026 calendar. The fact that they are pursuing this now, and granted, I know that a lot of work went into that initial idea when this was when this idea first came up. I think Penske Corp president Bud Denker said in that press conference with President Trump on Friday that he had something along the lines of 80 meetings on the Hill with members of Congress or other folks in the federal government about trying to put this together. Whether those were in September or closer to now, it's not entirely clear. But this is not an idea that they are just coming up with now in late January or early February, but it is something that is really just actually starting to take hold. I have to think that there was a time maybe where there were a ton of work wasn't getting put to this, because it seemed from that press conference that the president and his administration got wind that this was something that folks were interested in, and did his best to greenlight it really quickly. So I think the biggest worry is just that they can pull something like this to this magnitude that is a free event for fans. How they're going to do security, how they are going to make this to make the track and the area around it as safe as possible. It's hard to imagine being able to pull all of this off well in the 6 or 7 months time that we have, when you also think about everything that Penske Entertainment has to handle. I think they handle promoting in some level, either directly or indirectly, 8 or 9 races of the 17, now 18 on the schedule, and this will be an additional one on their plates. So it's, if they pull this off, it will be an absolute incredible feat, but it's just hard to imagine something like this coming together successfully, because most street races that you have, even with 12 months or 18 months lead time, there are always issues when you start things off in year one, and those are things that you kind of know going in, and you can hope to correct them in year 2 so you can get a new contract by the end of year 3.
Nathan, thanks for the time this morning. Appreciate that. Have fun this month, getting back to the combine and doing your NFL thing with all of us, and we'll see you out there.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Nathan Brown, Colts Insider, Indy Star, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. I don't know if you guys saw this. Incredible items up for auction, and discovering stuff with the Jim Irsay estate. We'll talk about that next as we continue 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I feel like I'm waking up again every 15 minutes, Mark. All day, every day.
I know what you're talking about. I think that's just you, man.
6 more weeks of winter. Is that what we heard this morning?
Supposedly.
Oh, man.
Count your weather forecast from rats.
Hey, I had fun going through the Indy Star this morning, and I was looking at Dana Hunsinger-Benbow's piece on the Jim Irsay collection. We all know that he's had these amazing guitars from Kurt Cobain, Eric Clapton, the Beatles, Janis Joplin, Prince, you name it. But a couple of really cool sport things I found in there. The saddle, the race saddle for Secretariat when he won the Triple Crown. Jim Irsay had that in his collection. A bat from 1953, Jackie Robinson, is in that collection right there. There's some cool stuff. If I had the money, I'd be in on the Secretariat saddle, James. I think that's just cool. That's history right there.
Yeah, I mean, he always had a lot of cool stuff. I believe he had, Muhammad Ali's glove from one of his famous fights as well. So, yeah, if I had the money, that probably is the lead in to every phrase in my life.
Are you putting that on your Schwinn bike, the Secretariat saddle there? Riding that around town?
I'm just imagining.
I'm putting that behind glass.
He walks in the door. Christine, look what I bought. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? How much did that cost?
Hey, shh, I'm working her over for a new bike right now.
You tell
Be
her
nice.
you got it on sale.
Gotta love that. Is there anything in
Got it
that?
on sale. Sold saddles just laying around. Got on sale.
Anything like whether those, some of the sports memorabilia, there's Rocky scripts, there's Rocky, some of the shoes they wore during Rocky, all kinds of stuff like that. He very eclectic, but have you ever seen anything in that collection that interests you if you had the money?
Yeah, when I went into, I've been in his office a couple times. I think honestly, the stuff on display there was mostly in the music realm, the Kerouac stuff, like that was mostly on display there. So I have not seen the amount of sports. I don't know if there's anything 1980 Miracle on Ice related, but have any of you guys watched the Netflix documentary on that?
I have not yet seen it.
I've heard raving reviews on it. I mean, Miracle is a movie I thought was outstanding. So I assume this gets a little bit more into maybe the political atmosphere that was obviously so alive back in 1980. But I thought about dialing that up this week with the Winter Olympics coming up, opening ceremonies on Friday.
That's hard to believe it's here already. Also, the other thing I found fascinating, the volleyball, Wilson from the Tom Hanks movie. He's got that, remember Castaway? When he was just talking to the volleyball, he painted the volleyball up and was talking to him all the time?
Yeah, the estimated value, it says here on Indy Star, $60,000 to $80,000.
It's not bad for a volleyball, man.
Unbelievable. Must be nice, right?
Hey, look, if you're a billionaire a few times over, that's what you do. You have fun, right? Isn't that what we'd all think we would do if we had money? We'd want to, I personally want to contribute as much to charity as I could, which he always did, but just have fun with it too, right?
Well, I always said that Jim Irsay did Rich right. The man certainly enjoyed his money.
Well, that's good stuff. All right, coming up in a minute, we will turn our attention to the Indiana Pacers. Alex Golden stops by. Haven't spoken to him for a few weeks. Can't wait for that. It's next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. They are ready to help us out today online. It's very simple. WeGrowHairIndy.com. Northwest side, that'd be the Pyramids, building number 2 up there. And again, answers to the questions that you've had. You deserve that. Any curiosity that you have throughout this process, you deserve that as well. And I think that's what you're going to get at the very least. A free evaluation, a private evaluation, a virtual evaluation. I have people come up to me that ask me about, hey, what was the process like, blah, 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 all of it. And I reiterate to them after I tell them, hey, go ahead and contact them. I mean, Darren Andrews is a super great dude, super chill, and also has got a ton of education for you that'll help you feel a little bit better if indeed you go through on that process. So again, online, very simple, wegrowhairindy.com. And again, brick and mortar wise, it is the Pyramids building number 2. Very nice office up there on the northwest side. The gold standard for hair restoration, We Grow Hair Indy. You got to be the life of the party coming up on Sunday. And now I'm not talking about your football knowledge helping you out. I'm talking about your food knowledge. Walk in with the French onion dip from Daisy. Walk in with the ranch dip from Daisy. Hell, walk in with both of them, and people are going to be raving about your presence there. I don't care if it's chips, wings, veggies. The Daisy brand is excellent when it comes to French onion dip and the ranch dip. Made with the ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. No preservatives, no artificial ingredients. We are talking real herbs and spices. And again, chips, wings, veggies, they are excellent. And you want to be the life of the party, you want to be invited back, make sure you come in. That French onion dip and the ranch dip from Daisy, and thank me later.
They say we're young and we don't know. Won't find out till we grow.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, I'm just curious. Is it 7:25 all day long today?
I'm just keeping with the theme.
I like it. Do we get a different one, like at the very end of the show? Do we move on, or are we just stuck in perpetuity?
Guess you got to stay tuned and find out.
All right. Well, tonight you can find out the Indiana Pacers continue the nice little roll that they've kind of started. They beat the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday night. They're playing much better basketball these days, and now the trade deadline is upon us on Thursday. A lot of people are wondering if any of the Pacers might get moved. If Benedict Mathurin is the guy that'll get moved. They're looking for a center, trying to shake things up a little bit as they prepare for maybe next year. Alex Golden covers the team. He's got a great podcast there, Setting the Pace. He's also a good friend of the program and the show and the station. He joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, Alex Golden. How's your Groundhog Day?
You know, it's been all right. A little cold out, but it's warming up, so that's a good thing. It feels like, 20 degrees out now versus what was it, like 1 degree yesterday morning. So it does feel a little bit better, but yeah, I'm ready to be a little bit warmer than what we've been recently.
Man, are we talking about warming up, though? How far away are we from that 13-game losing streak right now?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's in the rearview mirror. I think they're 7-5 since that 13-game losing streak. So the Pacers are playing better basketball, but yeah, we'll have to see if that continues on.
Alex, I would love to talk about all those things related to how well they're playing, but I've been on Tankathon.com more often than not this season. How are we feeling about the draft positioning? Where do you stand when it comes to fans who are like, wait a second, we need to keep losing, to the fans who are like, I would like to see a win every now and then?
Yeah, I mean, I think a win every now and then is nice, but not as many wins as they've been getting. It does feel like let's not lose sight of what's going on, and I think if there's any hope of what the Pacers are thinking long term, it's that Kevin Pritchard was in the building for the Kansas versus BYU game this weekend. A nice little reminder of, hey, I think they have an idea of what's really important here. But the draft lottery odds are all over the place, and it feels like the team with the worst record consistently falls out of number one. So maybe they're thinking, hey, let's be second or third worst team in the league, but we don't want to get out of that 14%. But maybe being number one odd-wise is not the best place to be. So I don't know. I think that the Pacers are always going to be an organization that tries to go about it the right way, the ethical way of not tanking to lose games until it's like you're eliminated from the playoffs. But I think that, Pascal Siakam racking up 35, 36 minutes a night, that's got to come down at some point.
Well, yes, I feel like now that he's earned his All-Star game appearance, we got to reevaluate some of those minutes. But I will go back to the draft. Just one more question on that. Mm-hmm. And that is, in all seriousness, Alex, who's number one on your big board right now today? Because we were debating this earlier. I think Darren Peterson from Kansas is the best player in the country, and he showed it for at least for one half against BYU and AJ Devanza. But then also the leg stuff, I'm very, iffy about, okay, can you hold up? Is this something we should be worried about for his future? So all of that factored in. I'm not saying you have to have a definitive answer. Obviously, it could change from here to the draft. But right now today, who are you rolling with at number one?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think all season long I've been convincing myself that AJ Devanza is the perfect fit for the Pacers. He's 6'9". You can't find those kind of players. They don't grow on trees, especially with his level of play. Like, he's the number one rank, I think, RSCI in terms of, all of the polls out there. But when you watch that game, right, you could just tell, like, Peterson, he's a notch above Devanza in terms of just what I think talent-wise. The injuries are a huge question mark. It does seem like maybe they're doing some, load management type things to just make sure he stays ready for the draft. And that's, not the worst thing to do, because college basketball and college sports in general has become more of a business than anything. But I think that if you're looking at the Pacers, like, you can't go wrong with either of them. Devanza fits in perfectly with the size and the length, but it's hard not to tell yourself that Peterson should be the first overall pick if you get the first pick, because I think he would fit in seamlessly with this system. But you're right, James. I mean, if he does have injury, history or concerns with the leg injuries, and you've already got Tyrese Halliburton, who's dealt with, hamstrings and calf tightness and Achilles and all that, that's a little bit worrisome for your long-term future if you're the Pacers.
Again, that's the voice of Alex Golden, setting the pace. Great listen for Pacer fans out there. And Alex joins us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. All right, trade deadline Thursday afternoon. Alex, let's start here. Before we begin discussing a trade, should the Pacers want to re-sign Benedict Mathurin?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that he is a valuable player for them in terms of being able to put the ball in the basket. There's no denying that he can do that. He can get to the free throw line as well when he's playing the best, version of his basketball game. But I think they should want to sign him. My biggest concern is, does he want to be here if he is not a starter? And I think that's where this could get really, difficult in terms of those conversations. And I don't know how you guys are feeling about this, but since he's returned from injury, I've been a little bit surprised they have not gone back to him in the starting lineup, still rocking with Walker and Furphy and bringing him off the bench, even though he is still playing close to the starter level minutes. I just find it a little bit interesting that they haven't reinserted him, especially if they were going to be planning to keep him past the trade deadline. I think that they would probably already have reinserted him. That's just my 2 cents, though.
Do you see any way they could retain Mathurin, retain their first-round pick, and still find a center of the future before next season begins?
It is possible. It'll be very hard, and it depends on how high of a level of a center you need, right? Because I think you could find assets with whether it's Jarris Walker, who will be, on his final, year of his rookie contract. You got Ben Shepherd, same thing. Isaiah Jackson's contract will be there. Obi Toppin's could be there potentially too if you value Mathurin at 23, 24 years old, plus going out there and getting this draft pick. But I think at the end of the day, it's just the money situation is where it's going to be difficult. And if Mathurin's demanding close to $20-25 million, how many guys can you pay at that level? And is he going to be okay with his playing time? I think all that plays a huge factor for BKB, and it's doable, but I don't think it's likely.
All this talk about the future and trades and all that kind of stuff and potential lottery, how do the Pacers play the second half of this season? How do they play this card?
Yeah, I think it's all about development. Trying different lineups. Seeing what Furphy and Walker can do with a bigger role instead of having Siakam kind of carry them. See what Cam Jones brings you because he's got a partial guarantee on his contract next year. Give Quentin Jackson and Ethan Thompson some more looks at the two-way spot. See if you want to maybe convert Quentin Jackson to a standard contract because his two-way runs up at the end of this season. I think, continuing to develop your bigs with Jay Huff and seeing what kind of chemistry he can develop. Of course, you have Obi Toppin, who could come back at some point in February. I think it'd be good to get him some reps just to kind of shake some of the rust off. So there's definitely a lot of things they can do to do it, but I think playing them, Harden, Smith, Siakam, and all those guys, and McConnell, 30-plus minutes, it's not smart, and I think maybe lowering their minutes or maybe even having them sit some games would be huge for just getting other guys some opportunities that maybe they wouldn't have in a normal season.
Always good to talk to you, Alex Golden. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you at the Fieldhouse again soon, and keep us up to date on what might be happening Thursday, man. We'll be listening to the podcast.
All right, it sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Setting the Pace. You can find it just about anywhere you can get podcasts. I always like listening to a few minutes of that after games coming in on the way to work in the morning. It's good stuff.
Shout out to Alex Golden, self-made man right there with his podcast.
I know. You talk about building something up over the last several years. That's a guy that's built something up right there.
Yeah, and they've had some awesome guests as well. So I've really enjoyed some of the combos that they've had on there. And basically, I don't know many Pacers fans that are not checking that out. Locked On Pacers with Tony East, also a great pod as well. I asked him the Mathurin question because I do think that's probably the first domino. Like, I don't know as a franchise if you can afford back-to-back off seasons where you let a notable player walk for nothing. You let Miles Turner walk for nothing. You can't let Benedict Mathurin walk for nothing, right? Now, I'm probably more team keep Mathurin. I guess I should start there. But if you're not in that camp, then you have to move him by Thursday, right? I guess you could sign and trade him a little bit in the offseason, but boy, you going to take that risk?
That's why I'm glad I'm not a GM because, boy, that's a difficult decision to make because you can't see the future. And you want to be able to say, well, we'll have this pick a few months from now and know exactly what we're going to do with it, but you just don't know. But to your point, Kevin, yeah, if you truly feel like, okay, wherever we end up in the draft lottery, let's say it's a top 5 pick, if we're okay with that and using that pick to point our franchise in a different direction that perhaps doesn't involve Benedict Mathurin or he's not a priority anymore, then yeah, you got to move him and get something for it because not like that not getting something in return would really set you back, I think, even more.
And we're not there yet, but if this is now the Pacers team we're about to see moving forward, they just finished January, I think, with a better than 500 record, or certainly very close to it. If this is now the Pacers team we're about to see, again, the NBA draft lottery is Mother's Day night. You can't predict the future, to James's point, but if you have the 10th pick versus the 2nd pick, would that influence what you do on Thursday? You don't know that.
But if you project it like that,
but if you say, all right, they have the 10th pick and they're drafting whoever, I'm not going to pretend to know. NBA. They're drafting the kid from Louisville, Mikel Brown, something like that, instead of getting one of these, and we say it in quotes, can't miss guys, then does that influence your pick? Because let's be honest, if you look at the top 10 picks so far, Mathurin and Walker, Mathurin has been a better player than Walker, but that's not necessarily a cornerstone, unquestioned piece to your franchise where you think obviously AJ DeBanso or Darren Peterson would fit more of that
for sure
level of player. So, I think there are so many conversations for this franchise to have before Thursday. And whatever they do in the next 72 hours could honestly be the difference and potentially winning a title or not. Period. That much is at stake here in the next 72 hours. There'll be other iterations of that this offseason. Obviously, what happens with the draft is big, but it could have that type of impact on it.
I asked the question about how they play the rest of the season. They've won 7 of their last 12. Dating back to the 8th of January, they are 7-5. Upcoming schedule, James. Houston tonight without Kevin Durant. Utah tomorrow. Then at Milwaukee, at Toronto, at the Knicks, at Brooklyn, and 2 at Washington. The way they've been playing, you could project them winning several of those basketball games.
For sure. So, again, this is why I'm glad I'm not Kevin Pritchard with his sharp turtleneck that he wore out there at Kansas when he was trying to see, are we going to get one of these players on the floor tonight? So, I don't know. It's a very interesting time for this Pacers franchise. But I will say this. I think Kevin Pritchard and Rick Carlisle and really the powers at work there for the Pacers, obviously starting with the owner, Herb Simon, they have earned, I think, the benefit of the doubt. I'll throw Chad Buchanan in there as well. I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to retooling this team, considering where they were just around 4 or 5 years ago to where they are now.
You also have the eternal debate, too, about do you try a bunch of new lineups and young guys, and along the way you lose games because you're experimenting so much. But as they develop these young guys, do you not want them also to be part of that culture of Pacers basketball, which is you fight for a good position all the time? That's just part of the DNA of being an Indiana Pacer.
Yeah, I think it's
overblown.
Yeah, even listening to Alex, they try to do things the right way with ethics and all that. Ethics do not matter in this. And quite honestly, if you roll a team out there that doesn't include Pascal Siakam because you feel like, hey, you know what? He's got his all-star nod. We're going to shut it down and let these young guys play. They'll lose inevitably because they're not good enough to win without him. So I don't know about if I can go that far to say, they're going to get out there and, really embrace the Pacers way. No, they're going to go out there and stink because that's what teams usually do when they don't play their best players.
James, weren't you on the beat when they tanked a few years ago?
Yeah, exactly. They just did it in a less obvious manner as the Sixers did with the process.
Since then, they've made the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals, and we're a half away from winning it all. I don't think that damaged the winning culture of the franchise. I tend to think the winning culture is that guy that is sitting there in street clothes, and once he's put on a Pacers uniform,
if you're trying to sell him on losing, then, come in the future, I'm probably saying, let's reevaluate this.
Who gets mentioned? Tyrese Halliburton gets mentioned by Caitlin Clark almost all the time. I love that. I love the fact that she looks at him as that's the kind of player I want to be. Ultimate point guard, can score when you need to, all those kinds of things. She made her debut on NBC last night with Reggie Miller. I think Maria Taylor was who's the fourth one I was missing at the very beginning of the game? Mello. It was Carmelo Anthony. That's right. Mark, do we have a little bit of that when she first was introduced on NBC last night, some of the stuff that they were talking about and what she's got going on? Let's listen to Caitlin Clark making her NBC basketball night on NBC last night.
And we're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
First time in MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
I know, it's our first Knicks game, first time feeling the atmosphere. We got to get you to play on this court one day.
We have to talk to Matt Adam about that.
Can we make it mellow? Honestly, if there's someone
Even if it's a preseason game, we got to get it done. I don't think the Liberty will want to move a game over here, but we'll play anybody. It'll be fun.
Yeah. How could you describe maybe the atmosphere your first time in it?
Well, I think as a player, this is kind of when you feel the atmosphere the most, is when you're out on the court warming up. So, there's just a different type of buzz. And obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different. But, Knicks fans are crazy, and I love it. I love people that are passionate about basketball, so it's pretty incredible.
So that was Caitlin Clark making her debut on NBC. Did they use her a little bit like Michael Jordan where, okay, we talked to her for a few minutes here, and now we just move on because I know she wasn't around halftime. So,
Well, I mean,
She was there live though. The Jordan stuff was
well,
pre-recorded.
that's true. That was
I
was
believe
taped
she's
in a
going to
room.
do this again sometime, either later February or March, if I'm not mistaken on that end. So I'm just glad we played that audio, not Reggie Miller calling her Peyton Pritchard.
I mean, no, I was going to get to that. You're asking if she should be used like Michael Jordan. Well, Reggie says she should be used like Peyton Pritchard. When I
mean,
kid you
what
not,
in the
Peyton-
what was that? That was the biggest compliment Peyton Pritchard's had in his life.
Caitlin Clark, shout out to you because your face will always tell the truth. I mean, I've seen it in post-game press conferences now. Even talking to her after she didn't make the Olympic team, you can see her body language just telling us totally different answers than her actual words coming out of her mouth.
She can't
And in
hide it
that
when
moment-
her teammates screw up. On,
yeah,
on the floor.
and one of her teammates screwed up in that instance. I think that was pretty bad. Reggie, come on, brother.
Yes, yes, sir, Reg.
I also saw something on social media. Leah Boston was on somebody's podcast, and they asked her, like, who are her favorite people in the WNBA, and she didn't even hesitate. She basically said Kelsey and Caitlin. Love those girls. We laugh, we cut up, we have a great time all the time. Couldn't imagine life without them. Thought that
Boy.
was pretty interesting.
Could you imagine if she didn't say Caitlin? Not exactly going to help with some of the team PR.
Those are the big three you build around, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just hope we get a season that starts on time. And it sounds like Caitlin's optimistic about it, so I'll be optimistic with her.
All right, that's what's happening on NBA night on NBC. Let's get to the rest of everything else happening in sports.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
The NBA All-Star Game, which was held here not all that long ago, will be in Los Angeles on the 15th of February, and Kevin Bowen, Pascal Siakam will be a part of the festivities there, selected by the coaches over the weekend to be the representative for the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, beyond well-deserved. I mean, he has been an all-star level player this season. I think in particular he's been a really clutch player. I know the Pacers haven't had a ton of games in that realm, but he has stepped up when they've needed him there. And I think at times, when you get into the All-Stars, I understand there's a winning element that matters, but I think for one of the 12 spots, I thought Pascal Siakam more than earned that notion.
24 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds a game so far, and even during this really tough season the Pacers have had, he has been a shining light night in and night out, James Boyd.
Yep, one of the best players in the league and got rewarded as such.
All right, they will host the Houston Rockets tonight. 6:30 airtime here on The Fan. Tip comes just after 7 o'clock. No Kevin Durant, though. He will be out with the left ankle sprain. I know that'll be a disappointment to a lot of folks that were looking forward to seeing Kevin Durant. Probably a few folks that bought tickets to this game in advance because they wanted to see KD.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin Durant, the pettiest superstar in the NBA.
I love Kevin Durant. College basketball on Sunday yesterday. Purdue snapped their losing streak. They beat Maryland by a score of 93-63. Fletcher Lawyer went off from three-point range, 7 of 10 from beyond the arc, 29 points in total. Braden Smith scored 19. Game outcome never in doubt. Saturday night, though, big win for Indiana over UCLA. Took them 2 overtimes, but they won it 98-97. Nick Dorn scored 26 points. Indiana starting to look like a little bit of a player in the Big Ten, Kevin.
Yeah, I was certainly a player in the NCAA tournament. I don't know if we're at the Big Ten just yet with how the standings look, but nonetheless, great week for Darren DeVries and company. Again, the insertion of Nick Dorn into the starting lineup is huge. All the attention to Lamar Wilkerson, all the attention to Tucker DeVries. Honestly, probably some of it needs to come away from DeVries and go to some other people if you're defending Indiana. But yeah, great week, wild game. Boy, you want to talk about one for the heart. And now they play with house money tomorrow night. That's one of those games where you would have signed up for a split out west. You've already secured at least that. They'll have USC tomorrow night. Probably the easier of the two opponents. If you look at UCLA and USC, that's a late one. 10 o'clock on the cock.
Why? Right there, Mark Dykton scrambling to hit buttons over there. Why am I always amused at Mick Cronin's just perpetual unhappiness in the post games whenever his team loses? Why am I amused by all this?
Because he's not leading your program, put it like that. Boy, he does not give you much hope after a loss.
Coming up in the next couple of days, college basketball tomorrow night, Indiana at USC. It'll be a late one. On Wednesday, Butler travels to Providence. Notre Dame will play at Louisville. That was a tough loss over the weekend for Notre Dame.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks for reminding me.
That's it?
I'm glad that you said that like you were living
That's
and
it?
dying through the 40 minutes like that. Did you see 1 minute of it?
I did actually see.
You get the CW?
I did. I got it, whatever it posted on my DirecTV. You go to the main page and it says turn on this channel. So saw a few minutes of that. I was thinking
He's locked
about
in,
it.
Kevin, just like you.
No, I didn't watch the whole game, but I was thinking about Kevin momentarily.
Boy. We might have some furniture moving up in here, folks.
All right. We won't get a goalie fight like we saw in the NHL Stadium Series yesterday, will we?
I mean, we might.
That's
Kevin's giving you that look like, watch where you know your next step.
I feel like much like the All-Star games, the Stadium Series / Winter Classic has kind of jumped the shark at this point.
Not last night. That was awesome.
I wasn't even aware it was on.
Lightning beat Boston 6-5 in overtime, but anytime you got an outdoor game and the goalie fight breaks out, I'm there, Mark. I thought you were kind of a hockey guy.
I mean, I somewhat am, but I'm not aware that there was the Stadium Series that got postponed because of weather or something and all that stuff. So, yeah, I feel like we've kind of jumped the shark with that.
All right, Justin Rose, no problem winning Torrey Pines in the Farmers Insurance Open. Wire-to-wire, record-breaking 23 under par. And he got Tiger's record, and he said that's all he thought about the last 3 holes. Go ahead and get I want a record from Tiger Woods.
Dominant by Justin Rose from start to finish there at Torrey Pines. We get the Waste Management Open. That's always one of the more livelier events. Of course, that 16th par 3 coming up this week on the PGA Tour.
One of my favorite Reds from the past, coming back to the team at the age of 34 with a 1-year, $15 million deal. Eugenio Suarez, the slugger, inserted into the Reds starting lineup to be a little bit of a bat to help protect Ellie De La Cruz.
Certainly, yeah. Reds need it. Obviously, we saw the failed pursuit of Kyle Schwarber earlier in the offseason here. So we're inching closer to pitchers and catchers here. Joel Erickson's favorite holiday.
Don't look now, but here come the Redlegs.
Let's go.
It's a playoff team from last year.
Let's go. And you guys gave up. Who was the one that didn't give up on the Reds last year, James?
That was you.
I willed them into the postseason.
Yes, you did.
And then reality caught up with us. But
And then
that's
Kevin
okay.
tried to climb back on the bandwagon,
Yeah.
battered and bruised. I'm still here. Any room for me? And he jumped immediately back off as they got bounced.
I think they got 10-run ruled in both games against the Dodgers.
I did want to point out that Lou Holtz is still with us. He has been put into hospice care, I believe, at the age
Boy,
of
that was a
89.
hell of a way to lead into that.
Quite the tease.
No,
I'm so sorry for laughing,
I was just
but-
saying prayers up
What?
to Lou Holtz. That's all.
Oh, man.
Because there were
You're gonna
people
have
on
James
social
Boyd
media
in
yesterday.
tears here in the next minute.
There were people on social media yesterday that were like putting the captions up with "Rest in Peace," and his family. Skip Holtz put out something said, "No, he's still fighting the good fight right now."
My boy is not in the ground.
So
This has been your daily Lou Holtz is alive update.
Unlike Phil the groundhog.
there's no win with
Brill
you
the
guys.
Phil.
I'm here for it. There's no win with you guys. and
It
I'm
sounds
here
like
for
we
it.
have our head coaching cycle. I'll try to transition from that. It sounds like we've got him filled. Clint Kubiak, perhaps the Fernando Mendoza head coach. I want to say he was at the 49ers when Mendoza was with Cal. Curious if there was any interaction there. And then Mike LaFleur. So we do have brothers still, along with the Harbaughs. Mike LaFleur with Arizona. That would be the Rams OC. Those are the reports there as we reach Super Bowl week. Indy Ignite 5-1 on the year. They swept Dallas over the weekend. They are home coming up. I want to say it's Grand Rapids coming up on Friday. So wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And James, I know you hit on this earlier. Paul George, 25-game suspension. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a do you have is there like multiple failed tests that lead to the 25-game punishment? Is this like second or third, or
I'm not sure how it
offense,
works
if you will?
in the NBA, but I believe that's the standard. Like if you do not pass a drug test, regardless of your history, whether you're a good citizen, bad citizen, whatever, when it comes to your drug history, I think the first offense is always 25 games.
And his statement was he took the medication for a mental health issue. Is that correct?
And so it wasn't like a physical thing. And we'll see if the NBA, not that it'll change anything in immediacy when it comes to his suspension, but I'm curious to see how the NBA approaches something like that down the line.
All right, coming up in a moment, we will recap a big weekend in college hoops and take a look at what's to come, what it all means as we start to jockey for position in the NCAA tournament and even some seating position in the Big Ten. We'll talk about it next, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. If you're just joining us, Mark Dykton, the groundhog, has spoken or at least retreated today, correct?
Yeah, I saw a shadow, and he left us all, in winter hell for the next 6 more weeks.
Well, it's going to be almost 32 degrees today. We might get above freezing before it's all said and done, although I see the official forecast is 31. So hold on tight. Might warm up a little bit. We were talking about college basketball and what it meant this past weekend and what we have coming up. Right now, Kevin Bowen, Purdue is the number 10 team in net ranking right now, if you're starting to look at the bracketology. 29 is where Indiana is now. They've been moving up quite a bit. They moved up 3 spots after their win against UCLA. And then on the bubble, I don't even know if it's on the bubble, really, because way down at 64 is Butler. And then the low 80s is Notre Dame. So obviously those two schools have some work to do. And Butler especially needs to find a way to pick up some wins, some quality wins somewhere along the way.
Yeah, I thought I saw Purdue at 8 this morning. I thought Indiana was at 30, but I could be wrong.
I'm looking at CBS Sports right now. That's their net ranking, so we'll see.
Off of that. But yeah, Butler definitely outside looking in. I mean, that was a really poor loss on Saturday at home. They will be on the road this week, and then they will have UConn. I believe we might have some ticket giveaways for that later this week. UConn inside of Hinkle coming up. That's our next home game a week from Wednesday, and boy, it's all but a must win. Like, their resume has got to get something to offset a loss like that. So that will be the upset they need. Obviously, UConn looking very, very good. And honestly, this is a season where, I watched Michigan Friday night. That Michigan State game was outstanding. Arizona's still undefeated. Boy, it just seems like one of these years where I could talk myself into 7, 8 teams that, could not only be here in Indy for the Final Four, but cut down those nets on that first Monday in April.
It's going to be fun to watch. Mark, we are in the midst of award season. Should we pass out some awards of our own right now?
Who is the GOAT?
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Or GOAT?
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
All right, the best and the worst of the week as we have it. Mark, you've been gone for a few days. I'm going to let you lead off today.
Okay, we going lower or uppercase? What are we doing here?
Let's
best, worst?
go best go to the week.
Okay, my best goes to AJ Styles, wrestler, was at the Royal Rumble. He lost his match against Gunther over the weekend, which means he must retire from WWE. So a 25-year career done there. Put 10 years of work in WWE. Key note, though, he didn't take his gloves off and leave them in the ring, which means there are people thinking that he might pop up in some other affiliations in pro wrestling. So, hell of a career for AJ Styles, 10 years of work at WWE, and we'll see what the next chapter brings him.
Nicely done.
What about Uso?
He did not win the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns won this year, so back-to-back years of a family member of the tribal chief winning. So Jey Uso won last year. Roman Reigns wins this year, so he punches his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. And for the women, we saw Liv Morgan win the Women's Royal Rumble.
I like it. James Boyd, what's on your mind?
My good goat, I'll roll with Center Grove girls basketball. Finished the regular season 22-0, undefeated. So now it's tournament time. Can you run the table and win a state championship in the highest class without having a loss on your resume? That will put them in some very rare air.
Kevin Bowen.
Yeah, I mentioned that Michigan. Easy for me to say. Michigan State game Friday night. I love the picture that's going around the waves right now of Dusty May just chilling on the bench about an hour before tip-off in the Michigan State student section, giving him the business. Dusty May, and when I say chilling, that man was chilling, and he knew full well what team he was about to bring out on the floor an hour later. I got a little dicey there in the second half. Michigan made the plays down the stretch. When we talk about teams that can get it done there, I think it is definitely Michigan potentially to win it all. So Dusty May, GOAT performance from him this weekend.
He did look like he was enjoying himself out there, didn't he? I'm going to go with Nick Dorn, straightforward. Man, Indiana gets him back, puts him in the starting lineup, and they've won 3 in a row. He scored 26 in their double overtime win against UCLA. And they got 3 guys that can really score now. They got a couple of other guys can light it up here and there every now and then. They start playing, real defense consistently. that could be a team that teams just don't want to play in the Big Ten tournament, and maybe even the first day or two of the NCAA tournament.
For sure.
Yeah. Mark, what do you have for your lowercase goat this week?
Okay. My lowercase goat goes to Jarrell Miller.
Oh, you stole my guy.
Jarrell Miller?
You stole my guy.
He was in a boxing match over the weekend. He ended up winning, but that's not why he's lowercase goat. It's because of the viral moment that went around the internet where he got punched so hard, his toupee got knocked off. And I feel like you can't come back from that. Like, I didn't know in the year of our Lord 2026 with all the We Grow Hair Indies and Regrow Hair products, folks are still rocking toupees, but apparently that's the case, especially in such a physical sport like boxing. I don't know how you come back from that. I don't care if he wins 1 million world heavyweight titles. How do you come back from getting your toupee knocked off on television?
Aaron Andrews on line 1, right?
100%.
Gotta save face.
You haven't seen it. It is absurd.
It is very, very funny. I laughed really, really hard.
James?
Toupee was very well shaped, if I must compliment.
Yeah, it really was. And
It was
honestly,
until it wasn't.
that's a moment where I guess you just got to own it, right? I don't know if you get a brand deal out of that, but
Eat the L instead of eat the W.
yeah, maybe some super glue, endorsement deals out of there. My lowercase goat will be Reggie Miller. I know he gets a lot of love around here, rightfully so. He's a legend. He is the goat of the franchise for the Pacers. But to compare Caitlin Clark to Peyton Pritchard, brother, that was egregious. Egregious. And so, like, the look on Caitlin's face is something I will never forget. She looked like, how dare, she should have bonked him on the head with her mic. That was so bad. So, Reggie, get it together, brother. Give us some better analysis than that. That was terrible.
She looked like she just saw the guy get his toupee knocked off. That's what her facial reaction was.
Yes.
I had a feeling James Wood and I would be on the same wavelength. Yeah, I think I've made it clear throughout these 2.5 hours of the show what I think of Reggie Miller's comments there. Absolutely idiotic. And yes, I would have loved to have seen Carmelo Anthony step in there and say something. I don't. Maybe he was so caught off guard that he saw a ghost there. So, Reggie, when you appear on Dan Patrick this week, throw out the apology, man.
Mark, I go back to Jarrell Miller. Not only did he lose the toupee, but then he tore the whole thing off after it came loose, throws it into the crowd, but the crowd's got to be involved here. They start passing it around.
Yeah, they're taking selfies with it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like a trophy deer.
Can you imagine? Do you want to hold somebody else's toupee in your hand? Has been sweating in it? It just got knocked off.
Collection.
Man, oh man, oh man. So then he just threw it into the crowd. So he goes, so it's funny, right? I get to my mama's house and she has some shampoo bottles on the table. So I shampooed my hair and that stuff was like ammonium bleach. He said in an interview, I literally lost my hair 2 days ago. So he decided to do something about it. And that's what happened. That's what he said.
And they fashioned a toupee that quickly. That seems like an awful quick
I don't know if I'm
turnaround.
really buying that one right there.
All right. That's the best and worst of the week, certainly of the weekend that was. Coming up in a moment, we'll tell you what to look forward to tonight as we continue on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Coming up at noon today, Jay Query will take you to 3 o'clock, and then JMV has the ride for you beginning at 3 p.m. Pacers tonight start at 6:30 with the airtime. Pat Boylan will have that, and then Mark Boyle has the play-by-play with Eddie. That'll be just after 7 o'clock with the tip and the play-by-play. Just checking the latest bracketology on ESPN right now. It says Purdue is a 3 seed at this point in time, and that Indiana is one of the last 4 in. Kevin, so still work to do. Indiana's rising. They've been playing better of late. Purdue's still kind of hanging around that 2-3 line, the 3 after that little bit of a losing streak there.
Boy, I would think after this weekend, Indiana, is that including the UCLA win? I wouldn't think that would be. I think they should be a lot higher than that.
They have not updated it yet today, but that was going into last night. So
Got it. Well, yeah, I think Indiana with a Purdue win and at UCLA would be above whatever first 4 in.
But yeah, they've been playing really, really well. We talked about Nick Dorn and what he's been able to help them. It just gives them another big time score. And so now you got 3 guys you're going to have to deal with. And I thought you laid it out pretty well early in the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And of course, the Pacers back at home tonight, taking on the Houston Rockets. I talked about the next 8 games that they have. It's conceivable they win 4 or 5 of those games when you look at the other teams they're playing right now, James, the way they've been playing.
I know, and that could change a whole lot. But I think the big thing this week is the trade deadline, 3 p.m. Thursday. Do the Pacers look different from today versus that day?
What are you most looking forward to seeing this week as you look ahead to the week of sports, whether it's the college basketball games or the couple of games back-to-back for the Pacers and how they're going to play this whole thing? I know you're looking forward to the trade deadline, but anything tonight, tomorrow you're really looking forward to?
No. I mean, nothing compares to Thursday. I mean, it's a huge point in the Pacers franchise in terms of this next era. What does it look like? Is there any part of you that says, hey, we feel like we can execute a sign and trade with Mathurin. Let's wait until we know where our pick is. Again, they'll know their pick come second week of May. We could do something in the offseason. Do you run the risk, though, of, how does that look? Yes, he is a restricted free agent with Benedict Mathurin. You can match anything, but still, what's on the table here on February 2nd, February 3rd is a little different than what could be on the table come summertime. This is usually where you see teams that are desperate or teams that feel a little bit more urgency, a la, Colt Sauce Gardner trade if you want to go down that path here. So, locally, it's kind of a boring college basketball slate for us. Tomorrow night, a lot of people will be in REM sleep by the time IU tips off with USC. That's 10 o'clock. Purdue has no game this week. Butler on the road here. So, yeah, you get a back-to-back with the Pacers, but I think everything's on Thursday afternoon.
Go back to the NBA All-Star Game. We've got complete rosters now, and the coaches have put in Pascal Siakam. We've talked about that all morning long. One thing we haven't talked about, the fact LeBron James, a 22nd appearance in the NBA All-Star Game.
Yeah, I read something about how he has the same amount of All-Star appearances as the Eastern Conference starting lineup combined. So longevity at its finest right there for LeBron James.
22 years. That's insane. You want to talk about consistency and high level. I know he's not the LeBron James of even 3 years ago, but his peers certainly still recognize and respect him.
Yeah, I thought Kawhi Leonard should have been in over him, to be honest with you. But, hey, the coaches spoke, and they chose LeBron James.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard not getting to the All-Star game, which is crazy to me. Starters for the West, Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic. The West reserves were Anthony Edwards, Jamal Murray, Chet Holmgren, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Denji Adija. How do you say that? Adija?
Denny Advia, I think is how you say it.
Advia? I've never heard his name actually mentioned. LeBron James, we talked about. And in the East, the starters, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo. East reserves, Donovan Mitchell, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duren, Jalen Johnson, Karl Anthony Towns. Are we missing a Joel Embiid in there anywhere? Was he a snub for you, Kevin?
I feel like he's barely played, right?
Yeah, he's played more as of late. I want to say he's missed maybe 20 games this year, and Jokic just missed 16. So is that such a big difference for you? He's played great, though. I don't know who his surgeon is on his knee, but, boy, the Sixers should be thanking that man because he looks like a totally different player.
And just to double check that for Indiana fans freaking out, that bracketology was before the UCLA game.
Okay.
So that did not include a road win at UCLA, which, again, a quad 1 road win. I would think that would bump Indiana comfortably into the field as of now.
So when does he release another one?
Should
Do
be
you
a
know?
number 1 seed, personally, but we'll see.
Yeah.
How comfortable are we talking? Hey, if Nick Norton never misses a 3 again, hey, put him in there. Number 1 seed, Indiana Hoosiers, baby.
Well, hey, look, the best part about being in the Big Ten right now, best part, worst part, whatever, you get into that NCAA, to the Big Ten tournament, you get deep into that tournament, man, your seed starts to go up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be. I'm probably biased because I watch a lot of Big Ten basketball, but I would think they're the best conference in the country right now.
Yeah. And also it looks
Big 12 definitely up there too. But yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's probably the deepest, James, that I've seen the Big Ten at the top
Yeah.
in a while. You know, recent years it was kind of like Purdue and then like one of the Michigan schools. Maybe
Yeah.
you're fighting Illini. But like this year, it seems like it's a pretty legit, you know, first really five or six. And, you know, we'll see how Indiana plays in February, but maybe they are knocking on that door in a month.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier that the coaching cycle seems to be complete. Clint Kubiak, is he the next head coach for Fernando Mendoza? Is he going to be the presumed number 1 overall? It looks like Kubiak's going to be the guy in Oakland,
sounds like,
or I guess Vegas.
Those are the reports. And again, for those who have no idea who Clint Kubiak is, he's the play caller for Sunday for the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl there. So obviously the Kubiak family tree, I think, you know, reigns in the NFL. But yeah, it sounds like that's the move for the Las Vegas Raiders. Then Mike LaFleur, who that's the Rams OC, so they could hire him officially, or maybe they already did officially yesterday. But looks like we got all 10 filled up here.
You know, you start talking about the Shanahans and the Kubiaks, you not only have a family tree, you got a coaching tree going on there too.
Right.
Kind of crazy. You had Mike Shanahan and his son, of course, Kyle, and Mike, his offensive coordinator for a lot of years was Gary Kubiak, and then Gary ended up being a head coach for the Broncos when they won their Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and now Clint is doing his thing. So that's what's happening in the National Football League again tonight, 6:30. The Pacers get things going with the airtime and the pregame, and then the tip just after 7 o'clock over at the Fieldhouse. As I mentioned a moment ago, Jake at noon, JMV at 3. Guys, great job today. James,